Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by Hyuga Clan. If you enjoy the video then like, share and subscribe and also comment your thoughts as it inspires me to make more such videos, and remember to check out my playlist section for other interesting stories. So let's get started. Chapter 7. A Busy Kitten. Feathers. Sasuke crossed the street with an even greater scowl than he usually had. He looked behind him. Yes. She doesn't stop when I simply ignore her, does she? He sighed. Damn this. Why can't they just leave me alone? Or is it a national hunt the Uchiha day? He walked into a back alley, next to the shop where he wanted to buy some fresh vegetables. Why don't you show yourself? Darn. Is he already tired of it? Pity. I would have enjoyed to continue the hunt a bit longer, she thought, looking down from her hiding place. Graciously, she jumped down. She smirked when she was his look. Don't be so mad, Sasuke-kun. Quit that, he growled, not in the mood to be fooled around with any longer. Why are you chasing me, you feline? But Sasuke-kun, she said with her most innocent voice. How could I not chase you? Quit your games, he demanded. Did he put you up to this? Of course not, silly, she purred. But you should have known. Known what? It's that time of the year, she said nonchalantly. Spill it, or I swear to Kami, I will kill you, he said with a threatening voice. Oh dear, that intent of yours makes this game even more fun, she chuckled. Have you ever seen you own hair from behind, though? What do you have against my hair? She chuckled. The boy fell right into her trap. Just as planned, it resembles something, if you look at it from a certain angle. And in this time, it is simply irresistible. What? He growled. Duck hunting season opened recently, she laughed, quickly jumping away. Before he had the time to summon his rage, all he could see was the tip of her long tail. Damned cat, he mumbled. Figures that the Dobi has such an annoying pet. Sasuke slouched as he walked back home. D-rank missions were boring. The only thing that was more boring than a D-rank mission was a D-rank mission with his team. Sakura never gave up trying to ask him for dates, which annoyed Sasuke more than just a bit. Obviously, the girl was smart. Very smart even, he admitted. And yet, she remained so very dense whenever she saw him. The blonde Dobi was not much better. Silent and distant as always, Naruto had hardly exerted himself during the mission. As if he tried to beat Kakashi in a duel concerning who showed the least interest in Team 7. At least it's over now. Just get some dinner and then I can return to my real training. Teamwork nonsense, Sasuke thought as he walked up to the door of his apartment. What's that noise? He wondered. It seemed like there was someone inside. Multiple people, by the sounds of it. Sasuke drew a kunai, wondering who had the guts to bother him. Perhaps one of his fan club. Or did his brother? No, it couldn't be. Sasuke opened the door, and was overrun by ducks. Baffled, he looked around. Not believing what he just experienced, he saw his room. Every day, he left his room in a perfect state. A true genius always paid attention to every detail. And now it was a chaos. But all Sasuke saw was a single card, standing on the table. Welcome home, Grumpy, it said. That cat had done this. I'll kill that cat, resounded throughout the Uchiha compound, after a few seconds of silence. Too fluffy. Ah, that was fun, she purred, stretching out on the grass. Now only a nice little sleep, and this day would be perfect. With their clan's strict laws, Hanabi had lived a life where the word fun usually did not exist. Well, her mother allowed it, encouraged it, even. But in front of her mother, Hanabi would always live in the shadow of her elder sister. It baffled her, but somehow her mother spent more time with that failure than with her. While Hanabi did everything that the clan demanded from her. Even at her young age, Hanabi knew very well she was better than her sister. She was the perfect heir, and it would only be a matter of time before the entire clan accepted the truth. But right now, the perfect heir stood before a big dilemma. A dilemma she had not expected to face today. Sure, she had been watching, keeping an eye on it. But she never had an opportunity like this before. Hanabi knew there was still time enough. Her father would not expect her to be in the dojo for another 15 minutes. And there was no one around either. But still, the risk. It would not be appropriate. Not of the perfect air. Yet, it was just too cute. Half asleep, she felt someone scratching her belly. Ah, nice, the cat thought while she turned on her back. And purred like a little kitten. Hanabi could not resist the black and white cat, with its unusually long and fluffy tail curled around it. Hanabi could never pull her eyes away from cute animals like this. But she would rather die than let anyone see such a weakness in her. Hanata smiled, as she stood behind a pillar. She had not seen this side from her little sister in a long time. Such a sweet creature. I wonder why Kiba even suspected she in the first place. How could he even think she would throw a bucket of blue paint on top of Akamaru? Theft. I know we had our differences. But we must set them aside now. You know as well as I do what is on stake here. If this job succeeds, we will be rich. Pacing around, the speech continued. But it will not be easy. I cannot do this alone. I can break in, and take the goods with me, but I will need a distraction, or they will catch me red-handed. He whined in response. Don't be stupid. If we involved the two legs in this, we would only have to split the loot over more people. A short bark. Yes, we split it, 50-50. And the longer you distract them, the more I can snatch. That got a happy bark as response. Yes, yes, I promise I will never throw paint at you again. I am sorry, I was just a little bored. Really, those white-eyed two legs are too darn boring. One would get crazy in there. Some barking, which sounded rather questioning. Just visit you there. Are you out of your mind? With those three lunatics around. They would kill me. No, it against my principles to work with dogs, but this is a special case. This two-leg dared to insult Ako-sama. He sold her bad meat, and had the audacity to compensate for it when she found out. Accusing her it was her fault instead. As if Ako-sama would even let food go bad. She growled. No one insults Ako-sama and gets away with it. Not while she provides me food. Akamaru remained silent, looking a bit confused by the sudden passionate outburst from the feline. He reconsidered. She was not just cynical, but also very loyal. Despite being a cat, she was not all that bad. He would almost forgive her the prank with the blue paint. If it had not taken Kiba days to get it all off. What's wrong? Naruto asks, when Ako stopped. As always, he helped her doing the groceries and stuff. She could not carry everything, while he had no idea about food. Except if it was ramen. But Ako's puzzled look confused him a bit. Look at this. Isn't that she? She frowned. That tail. Seems like it is her. Why would they put up a painting of her in here? Naruto wondered, reading the text below. A reward. They are searching her for theft. What? It seems like I have to get a long talk with that naughty kitten, Ako said on the icy tone which Naruto recognized immediately. She was screwed. Ako was gentle and quiet, but once people crossed a certain line, they were all doomed. Doomed. Gifts. Welcome home, sweetie. Her mother shouted, as Sakura closed the door. I'll be right there, Mom. She shouted back to the kitchen. Change clothes first. Sweaty. Quickly getting back downstairs, she helped her mother preparing dinner. Father would be home soon, after a long day working at the shop. Sakura often felt the disadvantages of hailing from a minor clan in Konoha, but at least she had her family intact. Merchants and shop owners usually lived longer than shinobi who served at the front lines. And Sakura loved her family, annoying as they might be at times, far too much to ever want to lose them. Strange. I work hard to become a shinobi while I am glad that my parents do not have to risk their lives. Sakura realized. Evening. Mebuki, Haruno Kazashi hugged his wife. Had a good day. Sure. She smiled, before she kissed him. Get cleaned up. Dinner is ready in 5 minutes. Right. On my way, honey. The man laughed, knowing very well that he should not ignore such an order. Besides, it smelled far too good to be late. Sakura. I'd nearly forget, but there was a package delivered today, but it was addressed to your teammate. Sakura was focused on cutting a few fresh chives for over the salad. Package. To whom? The Uchiha boy. Mebuki smiled, knowing that this would get the undivided attention of her daughter. Perhaps you should bring it to him. After dinner, of course. Whatever had been in the package, it was quite heavy. Sakura was very curious, and her inner voice urged her to open it. But the package was sealed, and opening it would only make the wrong impression on Sasuke-kun. No, this was much better. Now Sasuke-kun would see how dependable Sakura was. Sakura. Sasuke opened the door of his apartment, after Sakura had knocked. Sasuke-kun. What happened to you? Sakura frowned. The boy was dirty, covered with feathers, and carried a bag which he now threw in the garbage can outside. Goddamned cat, Sasuke grumbled. Keep finding feathers. They're everywhere. Why are you here, Sakura? A package. It was delivered at my home. A package. Sasuke frowned. It was for you. The mailman must have made a mistake somehow. I did not order anything. There's a note attached to it. Sakura pointed at the envelope that was stuck on the package. A token of my sincere apologies, Sasuke read. Apologies. He frowned. He ripped open the package and saw a single, very large and broad, book inside it. Ninjutsu for Dummies, he read, looking at Sakura. You wanted me to give me this book. What? Sakura did not know how to react. Why would you? Sasuke started, not believing that Sakura wanted to insult him like this. And then he saw a single feather sticking out of the book. The kind of feather he had come to know so well in these last few days. A duck feather. Sasuke felt a vein pop on his forehead. I will kill that cat. Chapter 8. Land of Waves. The bridge builder appeared to be a man named Tazuna, a gray-haired man who did not seem to possess much patience. Great, so I get stuck with a team of kids, he said harshly, earning him a glare from both Naruto and Sasuke. Enough for a C-rank mission, Kakashi replied dryly. And these kids are properly trained shinobi who have earned the right to take this level of missions. If you wanted 4 jonin you should pay for a higher ranking mission. Unfortunately for her, Kakashi noticed Sakura's look of doubt. Guess she will need some encouragement. Should be difficult, being in a team with a genius like Sasuke, and someone as extraordinary as Naruto, he noted to himself. Tazuna grunted something none of the shinobi could understand. All right then, let's go then. The bridge builder was headed towards the Land of Waves, an island near the Country of Fire, the country where Konohamaru was located in. Kakashi knew it would take them, with Tazuna moving slower than them, a couple of days to hike towards the border. Enough to spend a little time on training each day. After all, what would exhaust a civilian like Tazuna should be little more than a warming-up exercise for a shinobi. As such, Kakashi halted them after a couple of hours of traveling. Okay team, Tazuna-san is no shinobi, so we take a rest now, which earned Kakashi a grateful look from the self-proclaimed bridge-building genius. But for the 3 of you I have some exercises. After explaining the theory behind it, he made them do the more advanced chakra control exercise of tree climbing. Just by putting the right amounts of chakra into their feet, a shinobi could climb any surface. Kakashi wasn't very surprised when Naruto shrugged. Haruki-san and Hizashi-sama made me do that, and water walking, because my chakra control sucked so much. He demonstrated by effortlessly walking up the nearest tree. Kakashi did not, however, expect Sakura to do the same. I knew you had good chakra control, but to pick this up so quickly is quite impressive, Kakashi said, making her blush. Though to her surprise, Sasuke did not react. Not outwardly at least. But they knew enough about him to see his frustration after 2 failed attempts. It often seemed as if the Uchiha grew more and more impatient. You guys stay with Tazuna-san, I'll take Sasuke and help him. We'll be back in an hour. Some dinner would be nice, the lazy ninja added. Between Sakura's preparedness and the multitude of kage bunshin that Naruto could produce, setting up camp and preparing dinner was easy. Bored, Tazuna pulled a deck of cards out of one of the pockets of his backpack. Anyone want to play? Fine, though we're with 3, Sakura remarked, smiling at Naruto. She had decided to be a little nicer towards the silent blonde. Why don't you add one of your bunshin? Nothing is worse than losing to yourself, Naruto replied. Some quick hand seals later, Gamakichi appeared. Whoa, where did you get the frog? Tanuza said, not realizing his mistake. Hey, don't take this amphibian for a fool. I am not a damned frog, I am a toad, you blind dunce, the small toad responded angrily. Sakura giggled. But can you play cards? Sure thing. Pops doesn't want me, saying I'm too young, but Naruto taught us. Well, teach. Naruto shrugged. It's not like I'm that good, you partly figured it out yourself. I don't think Tatsu picked it up though. If only my idiot brother had as much talent as he has an appetite, the toad sighed. Kakashi sure did not expect the four of them playing cards when he returned with Sasuke. Several Kage Bunshin were busy preparing the food, while his other genin, joined by a small toad, made fun of their client whose luck had apparently abandoned him. Sasuke did not share the happiness. Kakashi noticed that the boy's mood recently only got worse and worse. It wasn't hard to see that the boy was frustrated with something, but with what? He learned the tree climbing exercise faster than expected of genin, but nothing seemed to satisfy the brooding boy. Okay, let's have something to eat, the jonin said. After a few hours of sleep we should pick up the pace a little. The days after went on without incident. Kakashi taught Sasuke several chakra control tricks, while letting Sakura work on increasing her meager chakra reserves. Naruto kept watch over Tazuna, though the boy also spent a lot of time on studying, as he brought a few scrolls on Fuinjutsu with him. The third day of travel Naruto cursed when he noticed that the Kage Bunshin he left at the Hyuga estate had dissolved. Kakashi told him that there was a limited time at which clones could operate, as they would eventually run out of chakra. Not that the jonin told the boy how crazy it was that the clones had lasted this long. What were you having them do, anyway? He asked his student. Oh, one was reading some of the scrolls on Fuinjutsu which I inherited, the boy answered, still rubbing his head as it ached from the feedback he got from the dissolved clones. 3 days' worth of experience tends to hurt a little if smashed into your brain in an instant. And another was helping Haruki-san and Akko-san by doing chores. The complete indifference at which the genin used the A-rank jutsu still staggered Kakashi. Not to mention that it had been not just one, but 2 bunshin. The amount of chakra that Naruto would have put in them to last this long would have been staggering. And Naruto used them for chores. I gave them a little more chakra, so they would last longer, Naruto added dryly, confirming Kakashi's expectations. Just an experiment. Never tested how long they could last. Shouldn't have tried it while on a mission though, damn my head. Of course, things did not stay this peaceful. Only a few hours away from the border, the team passed a puddle of water. Suddenly, 2 shinobi appeared. Before the genin could process the unexpected appearance, the 2 threw a long chain around Kakashi, tearing the jonin into pieces. Sakura screamed at the sight. Sasuke's hidden anger showed on the surface. Naruto's eye color changed from blue to purple-ish. The 2 attackers continued their assault before the genin acted, charging at Tazuna. Unable to respond, let alone process what just happened in front of him, Tazuna froze. The long metal claws both shinobi had on their arms moved as one. Yet before they could strike Tazuna, Sasuke jumped up, tying down the chain which was attached to their claws, only by using a shuriken and a kunai. Before either of the attackers could respond, Sasuke kicked them both away, after appearing between the 2. Sadly, the athletic feat had little effect. If anything, it managed to enrage the 2 adult shinobi. Dropping the chain, the 2 split and charged forward, ignoring the Uchiha. Sakura jumped in front of Tazuna, rather risking wounds or death, then disappointing her team any further. Not that she felt like she could do much against these 2 attackers, but she would at least try. Not that Kakashi allowed them to take any of his genin's lives, as he reappeared and caught the taller of the 2 assailants. The shorter backed away just in time to avoid the jonin's counterattack. Not that Naruto allowed him to escape. Thanks, he whispered in the man's ear, I've been waiting to try this one. A glowing red seal became visible on the shinobi's back. Fuinjutsu, infernal seal. Release, Naruto whispered. Looking at the charred remains of the man who had been unlucky enough to dodge him, Kakashi turned towards the man he had caught. He noted to himself that he had to teach Naruto about the importance of taking prisoners, rather than killing them so disturbingly easily. So, why did you attack Tazuna-san? He asked with a deceivingly calm voice. 2 chunin of the hidden mist, by the looks of your clumsy trap. Seriously, don't hide in a puddle when there hasn't been rain for days. The chunin just grinned, before his eyes rolled back. Damn it, Kakashi uttered. Poison. willing to throw away their lives for a mission revolving around a bridge builder. He turned to Tazuna, with a penetrating gaze. Tell me why they wanted you death. If you are not honest, we will abandon you to your fate. If the Hidden Mist is willing to invade our country to kill you, there must be quite the bounty on your head. Tazuna's shoulders slumped. I am sorry, Kakashi-san. Our village could not afford an A-rank mission. And if I told anything about Gato's involvement, it would not be a B rank anymore. Tazuna looked at Kakashi, now clearly desperate. Our village suffers at the hand of that bastard. He owns every ship in the vicinity, and charges ridiculous prices. When we started building a bridge to remove our dependency of his company, he hired mercenaries and killed a few of our people. He tortured my son-in-law, cut of his arms, and let him bleed to death. And several of the younger women. Tazuna's eyes were filled by tears of anger. I risked my life to get help, abandoning my honor with lies and deception, but I beg of you. Please save my village. By leaving I already have thrown away my own life, by I do not want my daughter or grandson be reduced by to little more than his slaves. Kakashi pondered what to do. That Gato is loaded. He has more than enough money to afford Jonins, so why did he send out those two? Unless he hired a band of missing nins. Which would not care about borders. That would also make this an A-rank mission, not something these kids could deal with. But abandoning him would equal killing him, and a lot more people by sound of it. He sighed. I guess we have no choice. We will protect you at least until you get back to your country. Despite the deception, abandoning you now would be honorless, Kakashi said on an even tone. And I don't want to be like the scum that abandons innocent people. Naruto groaned. Why do we even bother with this lying idiot? First acting all high and mighty, and now this. After sneaking into the land of waves, Team 7 saw the poverty Gato caused. People looked like they were starving, and everyone they saw seemed to lack any sort of hope. Their faces, especially their eyes, looking disturbingly hollow to them. Kakashi saw this and realized he had made the right decision. Though next opponent surely won't be Chunin, but Jonin, Kakashi sighed, not looking forward to exert himself. Leaving the village, the group walked towards Tazuna's house. Apparently, he lived there with his daughter Tsunami, and grandson Inari. Suddenly Sasuke threw a couple of shuriken towards the bushes. A snow rabbit. Sakura asked, as Sasuke held up the poor animal. Naruto did not mind. At least we have some dinner now, he smirked, earning him a shocked glare from Sakura. None of the genin noticed Kakashi's sudden alertness. Everyone down. Now, he shouted, causing the huge blade which was thrown at them to miss. The blade ended up being stuck in the tree behind the bushes where the rabbit was hiding. On top of the hilt, a tall man appeared. The man had a bare, muscular chest, and wore the hidden mist sign, albeit it had a large scratch through it, indicating he had abandoned his own village. Momochi Zabuza, Kakashi groaned. Not an enemy he would like to face. Guess there is no need to hold myself back anymore, he added while he slid up the strap which covered his other eye. You three stay out of this guy is beyond your abilities. Guard Tazuna. Shocking Sasuke. Zabuza chuckled. Well, no wonder the brothers did not return. Sharingan Kakashi. I am honored you immediately uncover your strongest asset. Not that your copying skill will help you much. Ninpu. Hidden mist no jutsu, he exclaimed after jumping towards the water. As Zabuza vanished in a cloud of mist, Kakashi jumped forward, leaving Tazuna to his genin. Sakura nearly fainted, and Sasuke looked shocked. The amount of chakra the Jonin released was a lot more than they had expected. Naruto stayed fairly calm, though annoyed he could not follow the fight. They moved far too fast for that. Sending out Kage Bunshin, he prepared a barrier to protect his teammates and Tazuna. Also, he smelled someone else. Another shinobi was hiding nearby. But before Naruto could act on that, he saw Zabuza had trapped Kakashi in a large ball of water. Damn, he grumbled, running toward his sensei. Rather focus on the known threat than the unknown. Keep Tazuna-san safe, he shouted towards his teammates. Water. Would make sense to summon a toad, I guess, Naruto mumbled, while gathering the chakra to summon Gamabunta. Though before he had the chance to finish the required hand seals, Zabuza appeared and kicked him back. Damn it, a water clone too. As Zabuza's clone closed in on Naruto, the latter grinned. So I don't get the time for hand seals, so let's try this one. Futon, he exclaimed, pressing both hands to each other. Explosion. Both hands threw out large amounts of wind chakra, creating a large bubble of air around Naruto. Naruto had worked on his taijutsu, and had tried to replicate the way the Hyuga focused their chakra on their hands in their Juken style. But when Naruto tried to focus wind chakra to his hands, he found that could create weak shockwaves. And with both hands pressed to each other, he amplified both waves into one large explosive shockwave. If enough chakra was used, Zabuza's water clone was torn apart by that shockwave when the bubble of chakra, which had surrounded Naruto for a moment, exploded. Tazuna and the others were protected by Naruto's barrier, but the real Zabuza was taken by surprise. As the shockwave disrupted the water prison, Kakashi lunged at Zabuza. Now at an advantage, Kakashi made quick work of Zabuza. But before the Jonin could land a decisive hit, Zabuza was felled by several Senbon. A young masked ninja appeared. Thank you. I have been looking to retrieve the corpse of this traitor for quite a while, the shinobi said with a gentle voice. Not that anyone thought he was gentle, not after witnessing how Zabuza's throat was just pierced by several Senbon. That mask. A hidden mist hunter nin, Kakashi said, surprised that someone of such an age would hold such a rank. The hunter seemed to be of his own genin's age. Correct, the youngster replied, your battle is over, I must dispose of this body, and return his blade to the hidden mist. Farewell. Finally at the end of their journey, Team 7 found themselves unable to return to Konoha. Kakashi had exhausted himself by using the Sharingan too much, and had to take some rest before they could travel again. At the same time, Kakashi was uneasy. He was missing something. Naruto, the Jonin called his student. What did you notice about the hunter nin? Naruto closing the door, suspecting what was implied. I presume you ask me what I sensed, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto asks, aware that Kakashi knew about his different sense. I cannot say there was any malice in him. Or her. With those clothes I'm not sure about the gender, Naruto added, scratching his chin. I noticed someone getting close, but I felt nothing wrong, so I focused on the Mizu Bunshin and getting you out of that water prison. Kakashi nodded, following his reasoning. I felt no pulse after Zabuza was hit. Still, it feels like I missed something important. You think he might still be alive? Naruto frowned. Kakashi shrugged, not sure. I do not know, Naruto. I had hoped you could explain. Kakashi sighed. My ability, or whatever you want to call it, isn't flawless, sensei, Naruto frowned. For instance, if people truly believe that what they do is right, no matter how evil it is, I will not be able to sense them. And it isn't like I can separate each individual around me and figure out whether he or she is good or bad. Virtually everyone is a mixture of both. You read in books about people who have a pure heart, but I would almost say that this is a big lie. If I concentrate enough on someone, I can always find something. Morality isn't that simple. Must be strange, Kakashi admitted, to feel such things. How precise is this ability? I can sense hatred. And if it is strong enough, I can sense fear. Fear seems to be the foundation of hatred, or so I once read in a book. But it's not like I can detect lies, Naruto chuckled softly. I wish I could do that. No, the Byakugan probably easily surpasses me in that contrast. But is also easier to counter, or deceive, Kakashi remarked. I guess. Unlike outward appearances, people can't hide their own nature. It's not like people can change their own emotion with will alone, unless they are truly crazy. But sensei, do you think that this masked kid works together with that Zabuza? It would be the most logical thing. Guys, Naruto shouted. The others entered the room, looking curiously. Or in Sasuke's case, annoyed. Sasuke, Sakura, you two should take turns and practice your exercises here. The other of you will join Naruto in protecting Tazuna-san, Kakashi ordered. Sasuke looked darkly. Sakura was puzzled. Didn't we kill Zabuza? The hunter nin did. At least, we presume he did, Kakashi added, leaving it the genin's interpretation. But beyond that, we still have Gato out there, and I doubt he will give up this easily. So you expect another attack? Sasuke concluded. It would make sense. Though irritating, Naruto clearly had the strongest defensive abilities, using his barriers. As long as Kakashi was out of commission, either he or Sakura would have to stay close. Training was the best way to pass the time. Gato stood over a seemingly asleep Zabuza. Preposterous. All the money I spent on you and still you fail. The knife in his hand never reached Zabuza, as a masked shinobi threw Gato backwards. The two mercenaries jumped at him, but died before reaching the ground, not knowing what had happened to them. You will not touch Zabuza-sama, the boy or girl hissed. Gato scrambled back, and fled. If those idiots failed, he would just take his private army and do the job himself. Hiring shinobi only finalized the death sentence the village already faced. Wait a few days, Zabuza spoke with a weak voice, halting Gato for a moment. Kakashi was resting in a bed, the third day after they had arrived. As it was morning, Sasuke trained outside the house, while Sakura and Naruto kept watch over the construction site. At least, that's what Kakashi thought, till Naruto popped up in his room. Don't worry sensei, I'm just a bunshin, the blonde boy started. I have to ask something. What is the Sharingan? I see. Kakashi answered thoughtfully, the Sharingan was the source of what made the Uchiha so famous. Once awakened, they give the user a large degree of insight in how chakra is used. This enables them to reproduce a jutsu, without learning it the regular way. Or, to counter a jutsu, before it is executed. And these super eyes make people call you the copy ninja. Yes. Though I am not an Uchiha, I did receive my left eye as a parting gift. From my best friend. But what else does it do? Naruto said, surprising Kakashi. My guest seems to hate the Sharingan quite a lot. My theory would be that the Sharingan has some other power, which affects him. He won't confirm it though, the bastard is too proud. But his annoyed silence means enough. And the fact that I was put in your team, alongside the last remaining Uchiha. I am no Uchiha, so I do not know every secret the Sharingan has, Kakashi replied hesitantly. But even without the Byakugan, Naruto had learned enough from the Hyuga. Knowing his sensei would, or could, not give an answer, Naruto nodded and popped. He could probably not confirm it because he was probably ordered not to do that, but he chose not to deny it either, the real Naruto thought after the Bunshin had dissolved. Sakura wondered why Naruto was so silent again. During the journey, he had seemingly opened up a little, but this morning he once again was as silent and distant as he was during the times at the academy. She had never really noticed him, if it was not for the obvious disapproval most adults had to him. She had always supposed that they would have reason to do such, so she followed by example. As was expected of her. But after what she had seen of him made her wonder if the majority was right. Naruto was not a very social person, but once he opened up a bit, he turned out to be a very kind person. He did not have the looks or charisma Sasuke had, but he did seem to be a good and reliable person. If not overly serious at times. It seemed to her like he could give Shino a run for his money in that aspect. But contrary to Shino, Naruto almost made the impression as if he hid some darkness inside him. Perhaps he knew about the reason that the village hated him. Sakura couldn't help but wonder what could have triggered such a reaction from the adults. So, what are you reading about? She decided to ask him, looking over his shoulder at the nearly unreadable scroll. Naruto looked up at her, doubting if he should tell her. He shrugged, not that she could do much harm. I inherited a load of books and scrolls on Fuinjutsu, left behind by the Uzumaki clan. You got that from your clan. Never heard of any other Uzumaki though. Seems reasonable. My clan was mostly wiped out before I was born. I was told that I am the last survivor of my clan. Two people in one team who are both the last of their respective clans. What could be the odds of that? Sakura thought. So how do those seals work? I've read some basic theory on them, but it seemed kinda hard to do. I guess so, Naruto mused, absently scratching the back of his head. Even with the help of the Kage Bunshin it still took me 2 years to work through the basics, and towards the more advanced seals. Knowing her interest in the theoretical stuff, he decided to expand his explanation a little. In principle, people have different kinds of chakra, and for jutsu they combine those types of chakra with the various hand seals, right? He saw her nodding, so continued. Seals have the same kind of basics. The issue is that instead of hand seal, there are a lot more written signs. And as there are more signs, there are also much more possible combinations. In addition, properly drawing out seals also means the user has to put the right types of chakra in it, in the exact amounts specified. There are workarounds, but the direct methods so far always seem to have superior results. Sakura looked pensive, so chakra control has to be advanced, but there are quite some people around with very high degrees of control, and I hardly see anyone using Fuinjutsu. Because the stronger seals require loads of chakra, which in turn means that it is impossible to create such a seal on your own. And the more people are involved in creating a seal, the harder it becomes. I see. Too many types of chakra, the timing, and levels of understanding and so on. That's where the Uzumaki seem to get their advantage. From what I've learned from the history books, my clan was known for having large amounts of chakra, as well as great endurance. Naruto realized that this probably also why he was the only one capable of containing the Kyuubi. Anyway, I usually study these kinds of scrolls to decipher them, and learn to reproduce the jutsu. Which is quite a frustrating job considering that there is no one who can teach me, other than Jiraiya-sensei. And even he doesn't understand most of the scribbles my ancestors left me. Sakura gained an unexpected amount of respect for her teammate. No wonder he continued to surprise everyone, as none had realized how skilled he was. Such mastery was no mere matter of lineage, it was the result of a lot of hard work. If he is capable of doing this in a few years, how much will he still grow? Sakura asked herself. As she walked back to her post, she felt weaker than she had ever done before. Though the promise that hard work could give such results also gave her some hope at the same time. After Sakura had walked back, Naruto was left with a little curiosity. Odd. She acts so different. I know she doesn't like me, and ignores me whenever she has the chance, but why start a conversation now? She's impressed, the Kyuubi answered inside him. Impressed by my power, the monster chuckled. Before he could counter the monster's words, a large explosion sounded from the other side of the village. Stay here, Naruto hissed at the workers, and the 24 clones he created for their protection. Let's go. He woke Sakura up from her shock. The wealthy Gato smiled at the sight of his little army breaking apart the village. Those idiots tried to resist him. He had to make an example of them. Those stupid civilians should know better than to resist him. And after getting a firm grip on this backwater country, he could expand his business in the land of water. After waiting a few days to make sure that the shinobi those fools had hired had left, he ordered his mercenaries to strike. Well, even if they had stayed, what chance would they have against his army? Still, he had heard enough, and they would have assumed that Zabuza died, and left while thinking the threat had been removed. How wrong they would be. Killing all, except the women that were. Interesting enough, his men would make sure the village was broken down, and any resistance in the region would be broken by the sight of his power. Gato smiled. Today was a good day. He had heard that the bridge builder's daughter was not bad looking either, so he had ordered a few of his men to capture her, so he also had some private entertainment. It would be a good night too, he chuckled. His men could do whatever they wanted with the other women. Seeing the destruction and death the mercenaries had brought in only the short while, Sakura paled. There were at least 100, heavily armed men. How could they save the village from such numbers? Something else caught her eye. Her teammate stood next to her, frozen. But his eyes were no longer blue. His face was torn apart by a feral rage unlike any she had seen before. Filthy human scum. The Kyuubi's deep voice growled within Naruto. You humans look down at animals or us biju. Yet the only ones capable of such horror are you people. You call me a demon, yet the actions of me and my brethren pale in comparison to human brutality. Naruto barely noticed the fox's anger, as if it was barely an echo of his own rage. Vaguely aware of Sakura's terrified look, he growled. Taju kage bunshin no jutsu. Gato blinked in surprise, when all of a sudden his own army was outnumbered. Clothed in black pants and white shirts, an army of blonde genin appeared. And in what seemed an instant, most of his army was wiped out. All the resources he had put into gathering the best mercenaries of the region vaporized in an instant. Arms were ripped from the torsos they were attached to. Heads were severed. Organs torn out. It all happened in seconds, in a wave of blood. Gato paled when he realized what he witnessed. It was his own impending death. You must be Gato, an angry voice spoke. Gato turned to look behind him, right into the furious crimson eyes of the original Naruto. There was no shred of mercy in the savage eyes that looked down upon him. Not a fraction of hesitation. Gato knew he could only do one thing. Attempting to flee, he did not even notice how soggy his pants had gotten. All Gato could think of was running away. Run away from the boy with the demon's eyes. A flame-clad claw pierced his ribs, tearing out the shipping magnate's heart. The scorched heart fell on the ground before the man even realized he died. Sakura watched in horror, terrified how her teammate had changed. Not even shocked by his ability to create what had to be at least 200 clones, it was his behavior which stunned her. The clones butchered the mercenaries. Though Sakura knew those men got what they deserved, Sakura was shocked that her teammate turned out to be such a ruthless killer. He's a monster, she thought while trembling. Her eyes wide in shock, she only saw the red that flowed through the streets. With the village purged of its attackers, the clones vanished, revealing their master, who was now sprinting towards Tazuna's house. Kakashi was happy he was recovering faster than he initially expected, but let Sasuke handle the assailants to avoid the risk of straining himself. Besides, the boy needed someone to vent his anger, and these mercenaries deserved nothing less. Their intentions had been obvious, knocking out Inari and attempting to drag away Tsunami. These men were the worst kind of trash. Sasuke's improvement showed when he finished off both of them at once. Hard work pays off, even to those recognized as geniuses. The explosion further up in the town shook him up. So there is a full assault. Kakashi remarked. Sasuke, let's. The Jonin never got to finish his sentence, as he had to dodge a large blade which had swung up from his blind spot. Barely dodging, Kakashi noticed that Sasuke was under attack as well. His fear had come true, as the masked boy turned out to be a traitor as well. So we meet again. Zabuza smirked from under the bandages that covered most of his face. Damn, this is not going to be easy. I hope Naruto and Sakura can handle whoever is attacking the village. Sasuke should be fine against a single opponent, even if it is a Chunin. Unfortunately, the masked boy was far stronger than Kakashi had expected. Though Sasuke had nearly killed him early in the fight, the masked boy revealed his Kekkei Genkai, Hyoten. Even when using his one-tomo Sharingan, the ice release proved too much for the gifted Uchiha. The advantage in speed he had earlier had vanished as soon as the frozen mirrors rose. The masked boy leapt between the giant mirrors of ice. Sasuke could not damage the mirrors, or avoid the Senbon that seemed to be thrown from every direction at once. It was too fast. Too much. When Naruto crashed in, he saw his teammate covered with needles, kneeling on the ground. Sasuke. He acts disturbed. Shit. Naruto cursed, noticing the Uchiha was barely conscious. And who are you? The voice came from all the remaining mirrors. Quite impressive, taking down 3 mirrors at once. Naruto growled. Uzumaki Naruto. That will be the name of the one who kills you. Sounding curious, the boy replied. That would be even more impressive. My name is Haku, pleased to meet you. As the Senbon got pinned in him, Naruto wondered who this guy was. The masked one had a gentle voice, as if he or she regretted what had to be done. And still it was too hard to say whether it was a boy or a girl. And the strangest was, there was not a speck of malice to be noticed. Naruto felt nothing from his opponent, giving him the slightly blind feeling he hardly ever experienced. How much do I rely on you, you damned fox? Naruto grumbled under his breath. Please yield, Haku said. I do not wish to kill you. I only have orders to stop anyone from disrupting Zabuza-sama's duel. Looking past Haku and the mirrors, Naruto spotted his sensei, who now struggled against the renegade. Seems like you still need me, weakling, the fox smirked. It was happy to channel more of its chakra to Naruto, as the latter was still painfully unaware of the growing influence the Kyuubi got through it. Haku tried to attack again, but this time Naruto was fast enough to dodge. He dodged me without a Sharingan. Haku thought, before stepping up his speed. Lost in anger, Naruto released a scream. No, Not just a scream, it was more like a shockwave. A burst of air. Pure force. The blonde boy generated so much chakra that the already damaged mirrors now began to crack. For the first in a long time, Haku felt fear. Fear because of an opponent whose strength even surpassed that of his master. Forgive me, Zabuza-sama. I have failed, the ninja whispered before being hit by the full force of the blonde boy's rage. When Sakura arrived, she screamed. Sasuke was covered with wounds. Needles of melting ice still stuck in his limbs. A hard crash sounded, and a body flew past her, falling down only a few meters from their position. Naruto jumped after his fallen opponent, seeing Sakura's tears as she held Sasuke in her arms. The grim determination he had vanished when he noticed some weak movements from his black-haired teammate. When he found the unconscious body of Haku, Naruto was torn. Killing a defenseless enemy was honorless, but he felt the Kyuubi calling for Haku's death. Does he deserve death? Kakashi noticed Zabuza's distraction. For a while now, the Kyuubi's chakra could clearly be felt. Naruto had expended amount of chakra which would put even an experienced Jonin to shame. Perhaps Jiraiya could be considered stronger, or otherwise his own eternal rival, after the latter opened up his celestial gates. But few would have access to such amounts of raw chakra. No wonder that Zabuza was disturbed. Even knowing where it came from, Kakashi had to admit he was feeling nervous himself as well. What do you say if we end this fight? Kakashi tried. Zabuza glared at him. Was it a trick? He felt something. Something vile and dark, which was nearby, and whatever it was, it had started fighting against Haku. Zabuza rather helped out his young partner than continue the fight against the Leaf Jonin. Zabuza realized that even though Kakashi was weakened, the man could still match his own moves. Damn it. A draw against a weakened opponent is the same as losing a fight. I cannot lose twice against this bastard. But his pondering was disrupted when he felt Haku had lost. Lost. All right. Zabuza gritted, as he swallowed his pride. But you better make sure me and my partner get away from this place alive, or I swear that I'll kill you and those brats of yours, even if it is the last thing I do. I promise, Kakashi replied. Though I would suggest we hurry, I don't know what my genin will do to your partner at this moment. Your genin? Does he mean to say that this is one of those kids? Zabuza thought, almost shocked enough for him to doubt his own hearing. Aided by Sakura, Sasuke stood up. Humiliated and angry, he knew he was beaten. With his needles, Haku had effortlessly knocked Sasuke out. And Naruto had done what he could not. Staggering towards the body of his fallen opponent, Sasuke's eyes spurred open when he realized the now unmasked ninja was still alive. Naruto stood next to the boy as if he was lost in thought, as if he wasn't sure what to do with his fallen opponent. But Sasuke knew what to do. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu. The Uchiha shouted, surprising both teammates. Naruto was still standing in the path of the fireball, but Sasuke did not care. Killing the blonde idiot would only be a bonus, he smirked to himself. Sasuke. Naruto shouted, noticing the Uchiha's intent. What the hell are you doing? With his hands still covered in flames from when he had attacked Haku, stopping the raging ball of flames that was aimed at him was nothing. As if the attack was even too weak for him to acknowledge. But the attack itself was never something that bothered Naruto. He does not care if his opponent is down or not. He seems indifferent whether or not he hits me. No, he does care. Naruto thought with a sad look. The Kyuubi's influence removed from him by the sadness he now felt, Naruto realized how much malice Sasuke radiated now. How his own teammate was trying to hurt him. You idiot, kill that guy. The Uchiha shouted at him, angered by the ease at which Naruto had stopped the attack. Angered by the look in Naruto's eyes when the blonde looked at him, cold and dismissive, a frozen rage. Naruto did not answer, he just extinguished the jutsu on his hand, and punched Sasuke. Hard. Sakura flinched when she heard the snapping sound of Sasuke's nose breaking. She saw the boy she loved flying backwards by the sheer force behind the punch. And all she wanted was to jump in before the fight could escalate, but she never got the chance. She was stopped by the sight of Kakashi. Sensei. She shouted in relief, as the Jonin appeared between both boys, preventing things to get worse. Never attack your own teammates, he scolded them with an exhausted voice. Zabuza-san, I trust our arrangement still stands. Stop Naruto, he added when he saw the blonde genin move. Zabuza looked at the genin who had beaten Haku. That chakra, impossible for a child, how could he must be he is, Zabuza realized. Yes, it seems like there won't be any payment now. Seeing how that kid has killed Gato. I can smell his blood on you, brat, he added when he saw the surprised look. Until we meet again, Kakashi. But then I will fight you to the bitter end. Consequences be damned. Carrying Haku, Zabuza quickly sprinted away. And Team 7 returned to Tazuna's house, so they could fix Sasuke's broken nose, and Kakashi could finally rest. Inari. Tsunami. Tazuna shouted, heavily out of breath because he ran all the way back home. Inari charged forward, into his grandfather's arms. They saved us. They say Gato is dead, and our country is saved. Tazuna smiled back at the child, and mussed his hair. Yes, I saw what happened. The village was attacked, but Naruto drove them all off. Zabuza is still alive. Tazuna paled after Kakashi filled him in. Relax, the Jonin sluggishly raised his hands. His employer died, so Zabuza won't be after you anymore, he is a professional. Besides, he knew we had the advantage. But taking someone like Zabuza down without getting injured is rather difficult. And considering we had no further reasons to risk our lives, we both backed off. I see, Tazuna frowned. I hope you are right. What happened to the kids? Your daughter is helping Sakura mending Sasuke's nose, Kakashi said dryly. Naruto is outside, scanning the area if there are any more mercenaries out there. Kakashi-san, I must ask you. Naruto-san, what is he? Tazuna asked cautiously. He had seen the village. He had seen the horde of clones that had raged through Gato's ranks. I cannot share any details, Kakashi sighed. But rest assured, Naruto only became angry due to what the mercenaries were doing. And we are shinobi, we are not supposed to have any issues with killing when the mission demands it. I see. Tazuna frowned, somewhat stunned that the brutal behavior of the boy should be considered normal. That said, Naruto is quite extraordinary as a shinobi, Kakashi added. Tell the townsfolk they have nothing to fear from us. We will take our leave soon enough. Sasuke's wounds will heal quickly, and my condition should improve soon as well. I was lucky that I did not have to overexert myself again, even though I was still recovering from the last match. Please stay for a few days, Tazuna said with a serious tone. We plan to bury our dead tomorrow, but after that, we will celebrate the liberation of our country. And as our saviors, you four are our guests of honor. All right, Kakashi sighed. Then we will stay here for at least 2 days. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto woke up the Jonin early in the morning. Naruto. The Jonin groaned. What are you? My original body found Gato's camp. There was only a minimal guard, so I took them out. But I wonder what we have to do with the money and other stuff which is there. There are also several corpses and some surviving women out there. Though the survivors are in a pretty bad shape, the boy added darkly. You were out all night. Kakashi sighed. After what happened yesterday, how was I supposed to sleep? Naruto replied on a cold and emotionless tone. Can you take the survivors back to town? I don't know how far it is. About half an hour distance from here, Naruto replied. At our pace at least. I'll deploy some clones, and transport them back. There are 6 who are fairly mobile, and 5 who are unconscious. But what about Gato's treasury? Well, I'd say the money should be given to the village, they need it the hardest right now. Not to mention that it probably is their money anyway, before Gato stole it from them. With those funds, completing the bridge won't be an issue anymore. Though I'll demand the full payment for an A-rank mission before I hand over the money, Kakashi said thoughtfully. Or the Sandaime will gut me. I also found a lot of information. Many on finance and business in this region, but there were also a lot of scrolls that contain information on the land of water, and apparently Gato had some dealings with Kurigakure itself as well. Also, one scroll was rather strange, sensei, Naruto frowned. It was about the land of whirlpools and also contained the symbol of Uzushiogakure. I know that's where my clan hails from. It seems to be some kind of report, but it is encrypted and there are several seals placed upon the scrolls, so I don't know anything about the content of the scroll. I didn't want to risk any seal getting triggered. Kakashi blinked a few times, and what little had remained of his sleepiness also vanished. Inside information on Kurigakure, Hokage-sama will be most grateful for that one, even though the current relations with Kiri seem to be better than they have been in a long while, it could still be vital for future missions. We will give this information to the Hokage when we get back, Kakashi ordered. I trust you can keep them with you. But keep this knowledge a secret for now. Affirmative, Naruto said dryly. Though I would like to know more about that scroll about Uzumaki. I don't know much about my home country, after all, he added, before vanishing in a puff of smoke. His mastery with the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu has also improved drastically. It figures, with the amounts of chakra he possesses, along with his creativity, that jutsu is perfect for him. Sitting on top of the roof of a building on the edge of the village, Naruto looked as the village celebrated their newfound freedom. With the use of Fuinjutsu, it had been fairly easy to transport the valuables and other resources back to the village, along with the women he had found. Upon his return, Naruto had seen many emotions on the faces of the villagers. Anger, defeat, and sorrow, upon seeing their kidnapped women return to them, wounded or deceased. Or broken. But there was also cheerfulness, gratitude, and relief, for the wealth, and even more because of the survivors he had brought along. Despite the horrors the women had endured, they lived and were reunited with their loved ones. But what hurt Naruto was the deep fear he saw in the faces of the villagers. Fear of him. Terrified, because of how he had saved them. He was used to see it in his own village, but here, where people had treated him well at first, it pained him. Those idiots. I saved the town, and all they do is fear me. Naruto pondered. And not just them. Sakura, Sasuke, and even Kakashi-sensei, they all fear me. Despise me. While I saved them. They should be thankful, not glare at me from a distance, as if I am some kind of freak. Relax, brat. Naruto heard the Kyuubi speak, before it pulled him in. What? Naruto did not bother to hide his annoyance. Hurts, doesn't it? The fox said calmly. What do you? Don't play stupid on me. I see everything you do. I got nothing else to do in this godforsaken place anyway, the demon growled. Those humans, their response hurts you. Well, yes. Of course it does, Naruto admitted. I saved their damned lives, and they look at me as if they think I am a monster. Humans are very short-sighted. They only care about themselves, and keep themselves blind to everything else. And every time they meet something that is above them, they respond with hate. All because they are weak. Those humans will never look at you without seeing me. Naruto grimaced. And yet, what did I do to deserve their hatred? The Kyuubi surprised the boy. Those humans. They think themselves superior to everything else, and because of that they mistreat everything that is different from them. They call my kind demons. Those humans hate us, they attack us, and they imprison us. They just fear you. Humans fear everything superior to themselves. Deep down they must realize their arrogance, but are too cowardly to admit their inferiority, the fox growled. What makes a human so different from an animal? Or from anything that lives, even the trees and plants? Quote. Naruto blinked in surprise. Never had the fox been so serious to him. Most of the time, it seemed to curse at him, or mock him. But this time it felt like he lectured Naruto. In an instant, Naruto realized that he himself was just like those humans the fox just described. You. Naruto sighed. The humans in this town do not hate me because of you. They don't know. No, but they fear me because of the exact same reasons. Ironic. I behave just like them, even though I am not like them. Jinchuriki. The fox spoke as if they word was a curse or horrible insult. So now do you understand, you foolish brat? You always condemned me, while I simply hate a world which hates me. How could I say I understand when I am not you? Naruto mused, now surprising the fox, even though the latter refused to show it. But you hate me because I am your prison, and I hate you because you were imprisoned inside me. Naruto sighed. All this hatred, where does it ever end? Their ignorant desire for power led them to your creation, the fox said darkly. sealing me and my kind with the desire to tame us. To use us, the creature scoffed. So tell me, you talk about your kind, so what are you? Naruto said after a few minutes of silence. The fox's head jerked up, his eyes widened a bit, revealing his surprise. Why would you want to know? If they keep looking like that at me, because of you, I might as well try to figure out what you are, Naruto shrugged. We are what humans call the Biju, the fox said. The tailed beasts. Though, the 9 of us are more than that, but that doesn't matter right now. We each have a number of tails, from 1 to 9. We all are unique, in contrast to you humans who share the same kind of physical traits. The fox moved his 9 enormous tails, and strange enough, Naruto thought the fox was proud of them. As I have 9, the fox continued, confirming Naruto's suspicion. I am the strongest of my kind. But even the strength of the one tail vastly overpowers that of any human. Well, nearly all, the Kyuubi admitted. There have been a few humans around who managed to gather enough power to impress even us, like your first Hokage for example. So, they are your brothers and sisters. Naruto frowned. What? No children or anything. Why would we reproduce like you lower life forms do? Time does not affect us, I was already alive before you shinobi came to be. But because of our power, our massive chakra, humans have always feared us. They wanted to turn us into weapons. One by one, my brothers and sisters fell into the hands of humans, and were trapped into their prisons. Even I was captured, damn that Uchiha Madara. So what am I? Naruto frowned, impressed by the enormity of what the Kyuubi had just told him. You were once a human, just like all the others of you miserable kind, the fox laughed darkly. You were human until my chakra entered your body, and began to change you. Evolve you. So I am neither Biju nor human, Naruto sighed. No wonder they all see me as a monster. The fox chuckled, while it withdrew into the darkness of its cage. Monster. That word only shows they are too stupid to understand. Too inferior to even try to understand it. Naruto's mind felt like it was flooded with thoughts and emotions. Who am I? What am I? He thought, as he left his inner world. Jinchuriki. Well fine then, if those humans don't want me to belong to their kind, I might just as well stop pretending. Teams, teachers, family, friends. I am not their equal. I have never been, so how could I belong to their kind? Gay. Just look at these citizens, or Sakura, even the few that are friendly to me will fear me once they see what I am. What I can become. It is merely a matter of time until they betray me too. Naruto sighed deeply, as he turned his face away, not wanting to look at the celebration in front him any longer. Feeling betrayed, Naruto wondered why he had even cared enough to begin with. Once again alone in his silent world, the Kyuubi wondered why he felt conflicted. The boy had been pushed enough to finally begin to seriously despise humanity, but for some reason the fox could not feel much happiness about. It had annoyed him that it had taken so long before the boy gave up on his futile dreams of acceptance, but now he seemed to have done it, it felt empty. His former jailers had never cared about him, or his kind. They would never have never even thought about his opinion. But this boy, the fox knew he had to corrupt the boy's soul in order to weaken the seal, but the mental strength the boy possessed impressed him. The boy merely turned away from humanity, while he had every reason to strike back at it. As if the boy's core was made up out of kindness. The Kyuubi sighed. I should just wait and see what will happen, he will probably fall, just like any other human before him. I just have to make sure the brat doesn't die before the seal has weakened enough for me to reclaim my freedom. So why don't I just amuse myself as much as I can while I am stuck here? He may struggle all he wants to prevent my inevitable escape. So prove your worth to me, brat. Let's see you try and stop me. With the bodies Naruto had brought from Gato's camp, the death toll was set on 23. With an additional 35 wounded, of which 4 critically. Kakashi wondered how this could be called a success, or even be celebrated. But after years of struggling, he could also somewhat understand the people. He remembered how Konoha cheered when the last war had ended. Well, how most of Konoha had cheered. There were enough who rather had seen the war continue, too consumed by their hatred. There still are those who think like that. But Kakashi had collected the money for an A-rank mission, and from what he saw in the scrolls Naruto had found, also some very useful intel. At least for Konoha, this mission had been a bigger success than anyone would have expected at the start. Though Kakashi hoped that next C-rank mission would turn out to be a bit less complex. No, this country and Konoha could celebrate, but Team 7 could not. Kakashi had seen how Sakura looked at Naruto. And he had seen and heard what Sasuke had done. Whatever chance this team had ever had died during this mission, Kakashi sighed. Naruto's expression, even if he understands their reaction, it hurts him a lot. No, with his burden, it won't just hurt him. It'll only grow worse. The hatred Naruto feels will strengthen the Kyuubi's hold over him, causing the others to fear and hate him even more. This spiral will not stop, not while Naruto stays in this environment. With Sasuke hating him, and Sakura being terrified, Naruto is bound to respond. But how? And when? Kakashi massaged his head. I really am not fit. I told him I would be a bad choice, Kakashi whispered to himself, thinking back at when he protested against the Hokage's decision on the formation of Team 7. The way back to Konoha was a lot faster now that Tazuna was not around. Still, to Sakura it seemed like it took twice the time. Naruto and Sasuke did not speak to each other again, with the first barely even looking at the others. And though Naruto ignored Sasuke, the killing intent of the latter had been obvious, even to her. The atmosphere was too uncomfortable. What would this mean for her team? When she and Ino had a fight, they could talk about it afterwards. But neither of her teammates seemed to be even remotely interested in talking. This went much deeper than a petty argument. Something had been broken during this mission, irreparably broken. When Kakashi had tried to discuss it, the Uchiha had refused to apologize to Naruto, something which even Sakura seemed to resent. Kakashi sighed. Hokage-sama was wrong. There will not be any friendship between these boys. They have to be taken apart, or they will end up killing each other during a next mission. He must see that now as well. This must be solved. Chapter 9. Outcast. Thank you, Kakashi, Team 7, the Hokage said after hearing the report of the mission. Though Kakashi had not spoken of the Kyuubi, Hiruzen had heard enough to deduce what Naruto had done. But what saddened him even more was when Kakashi had told him of what Sasuke had done. How he had tried to attack his own teammate. Sasuke looked a bit uncomfortable when Kakashi told about his transgression, but the boy's anger was still obvious. In the eyes of Sarutobi Hiruzen, it was obvious the Uchiha did not feel regret for what he did. Something that made the situation even more complicated. After all, his position as the last Uchiha made it hard for him to issue any serious punishment for this crime. Sakura, you are relieved. Sasuke, meet me here at 8 in the morning, tomorrow, the old man sighed. He had to find a proper way to deal with the Uchiha, and since he was the last of his bloodline, he could also not do too much. The council would never accept something like imprisonment, or him being demoted as genin. Naruto, Kakashi, you two stay put, he added. Hiruzen wrote a short note, and sent out a guard to deliver it. He knew she had yet to collect today's assignment, so she should arrive shortly. After that, he quickly prepared his pipe. He needed a smoke. Meanwhile, Naruto just remained silent, not showing much emotion. Kakashi, on the other hand, seemed unusually agitated. I suppose you want to tell me I was wrong about the team, Kakashi. No, at this point, I don't care about right or wrong, Hokage-sama, but this situation. Something needs to be done. The old man sighed. He had hoped that both boys would grow a bit closer, just like how he and Danzo had eventually come to understand each other all those years ago. But he was wrong. These boys were different, and perhaps Kakashi was not as capable as their sensei had been. Teaching the next generation was a test that each Jonin had to go through, but not every shinobi had the qualities needed for it. Yes, this situation needs to change. Hiruzen looked at Naruto. You did not say anything about how Sasuke attacked you, Naruto. There was little to say, Naruto said. Sasuke did not attack me because of the fox, he attacked me because he hates me. He tried to incinerate me, so I broke his nose. Nothing else. Hiruzen frowned, worried by the indifference in Naruto's voice. Do you mind being in the same team as him? Why would I care? Naruto shrugged. It's not like other people will treat me much better. Though the usual cold glares are less annoying than fireballs. Besides, Sakura saw me, and fears and hates me because of what I did. At least Sasuke's attempt to hurt me was not because of the fox. And it's not like that level of attack would have done anything to me. Would you not like teammates which would respect you? Hiruzen replied. Naruto's hollow laughter shocked both Hiruzen and Kakashi. Respect me? Naruto smirked. I doubt any of you humans do. Naruto, you shouldn't. Kakashi started. Your fear is obvious, sensei, Naruto said on a cold tone. Hatred and fear are quite similar, but I know enough to feel the difference. Your little act of indifference doesn't help you much. Someone knocked at the door. Come in, Hiruzen said. Naruto, this is Yuhi Kurenai, Jonin sensei of Team 8. Hokage-sama, Kakashi-senpai, Naruto-san, the black-haired woman greeted them, a bit surprised to see the latter. And even more surprised by the odd atmosphere in the room. Might I ask why I was summoned? Hope I don't have to go away from Konoha today. Hiruzen chuckled. Don't worry, I've notified Asuma, as you will probably be a bit late for your dinner today. Kakashi frowned at the news, while Kurenai blushed slightly. I recall your complaint about the lack of balance in your team, so I thought we could solve two separate problems at once. Both Jonin looked at each other and opened their mouths to start to speak, well, as far as it was visible with Kakashi's mask. Kakashi gestured her to start. My team is overly focused on tracking and scouting, but lacks the muscle to defeat more serious opponents, Kurenai explained. My team exists of Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata, and Inuzuka Kiba along with his ninja Hokamaru. Kakashi started thoughtfully. My team consists of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Uzumaki Naruto, tapping the boy on his shoulder. Though you could say that there is no problem with regard to their combat skills, two of my team members have had a conflict. Naruto remained silent, and was looking the other way, not caring about the conversation that was going on. It was merely the blabbering of a few humans. It hardly concerned him what team he would end up with, they would reject him anyway. Uchiha Sasuke and Naruto had a conflict which turned rather violent. That is why I would propose to transfer Naruto to your team, Kurenai. It would be the best solution for both of them, as well as it would balance out both teams, Hiruzen spoke up. And considering that Kakashi is the only other with the Sharingan, I can't take Sasuke away from him. Sasuke will need guidance. Kurenai frowned. In exchange for one of my genin I suppose, I would prefer to keep Hanata in my team, so I would propose either Kiba or Shino to transfer. Though, Kiba might not be the best choice, as he may be a very loyal person, but he is also rather hot-headed. From what I've seen, he did not have a very good connection with the Uchiha boy at the academy either. While the logic of the Aburame might even out the emotional instability of my team, Kakashi agreed. Hiruzen nodded, then looking at Naruto. Naruto, this is a rather unusual event. We don't often change genin team this soon, so I have to ask both you and Shino, if you can agree with this transfer. Naruto just shrugged. Can't be much worse than it is right now, can it? He replied. Though you should tell her who I am. She might want to learn the truth before she will regret this, well she will anyway, so who cares, he shrugged, as he nodded his goodbye towards the Hokage and left. Hiruzen frowned. It's sad that Team 7 did not work out like I had hoped. Kakashi was my first choice to look after Naruto, while Jiraiya is not available. But Kurenai is capable enough with regard to Genjutsu as well, in the unlikely Naruto would lose control of the Kyuubi. Even though she does not possess the Sharingan, it isn't like Kakashi knows how to restrain the creature either. I should tell her about the fox's only known weakness. Kurenai's mind was still in turmoil from the meeting. After sharing a few S-ranked secrets, the Hokage had agreed that it would be best that he personally informed the Aburame, to avoid political repercussions. After all, Aburame Shibi, Shino's father, had a rather prominent position in their clan. After they had left the Hokage's office, she had discussed Naruto with Kakashi. Kurenai smiled somewhat when she imagined how Hanata would react. The shy girl opened up a little to her, and Kurenai quickly found out about her feelings concerning Naruto. It might be a good change for Hanata as well. Now on her way to meet her team, she wondered how Shino would react. Kurenai-sensei. The three genin greeted, as she joined them. Kurenai had picked a small training ground, consisting of grassland and a large pond. Good afternoon, she greeted her students. I apologize for being late like this. The Hokage called me away. Shino nodded. Hokage-sama has discussed the issue with me and my father as well. Issue? Hiba frowned. What's going on, Shino? I see. Kurenai sighed. Why was it never clear what the Aburame was thinking? In that case, I will explain what occurred. Hanata was unsure what she had to feel. On one hand, she was overjoyed that Naruto would join her team. On the other hand, she was sad Shino had to leave. He may have been silent, but she did consider him to be her friend. The Aburame had stoically remarked that the transfer was merely the most logical conclusion that the Hokage could reach under the circumstances, thus he had no reason to object. Hanata wondered if Shino was really that emotionless. Surely he would feel sad, she knew she would. Unless Shino did not like them. She could never really figure out what the silent boy was thinking. And with his clothing concealing most of him, reading his expression or body language was rather difficult as well. Hiba was far easier to read. Even for the untrained eye it would be blatantly obvious that the Inuzuka was not happy at all. He never really had any bond with Naruto, similar to most at the academy, but Hinata knew it was logical that he would prefer Shino, who he knew, over Naruto. Logical, because Hiba was fiercely loyal toward his teammates. Kurenai, on the other hand, seemed to think that Naruto would be an improvement to the team, even though she stated that she regretted that Shino left. Maybe Naruto-kun is at home, and I can ask him why he had to transfer, Hinata thought. It was a bit annoying that Kurenai-sensei refused to explain what the incident was which Shino had mentioned as the cause for this unusual transfer. Shino himself also refused, even though he did mention that the Hokage had somewhat explained what caused it. But he had promised to his father to not tell anyone about what he heard. Adults were always so secretive when it came to Naruto. Breaking up genin teams which only operated for a few months, with only weeks before the Chunin exams would begin, was rather unusual. Whatever had happened, it must have been big. Hanata moved as quickly as she could without losing composure. The composure expect of someone of her standing. But she wanted to know. Naruto would tell her, if she could muster the courage to ask him. That was quite the mission, Haruki said, very impressed after hearing Naruto's story. Zabuza, the demon of the hidden mist. That man was already around when I was a shinobi. And I would have rather avoided someone like him, even when I was healthy. He had quite the unsavory reputation. Akko shuddered, knowing Haruki had been a jonin before he was forced to end his career. I'm glad you made it back alive, Naruto-kun. Naruto scratched the back of his head, earning him the glare from Haruki he had expected. The one gesture Haruki couldn't get out of the boy, no matter how hard he had tried. And Naruto knew it, and often used it to tease him. Naruto shrugged. Well, I'm just happy that the country of waves got rid of that Gato. Taking someone's life should not be an easy thing, Naruto, Haruki said softly, recognizing that Naruto hid his real emotions behind his fake smile, as usual. The man believed that Naruto was burdened because he had killed so many. It seemed quite easy when I saw the things those scumbags did. Though, I presume it would be somewhat different for someone like me. How could you say that? Akko snapped. You saved those people. If you had not acted, how many others would have died? Seeing Naruto was not convinced, she added, you should not think about the number of lives you took, but the number of lives you have saved. How many men and women now survived because of you? How many children? Maybe. But in the end, what did I achieve, just by eradicating a few? She raised her head lazily. Those 2 legs were worse than scum. Think of it as if you removed the weed, in order to keep the crops healthy. You did good, Whisker 2-leg. But, no. Akko half shouted. Trash like them decided to kill others for something as stupid as money. Those greedy bastards got what they deserved. Those people were no different from. You know. Taken aback by the outburst from the usually quiet and reserved Akko, Naruto realized how surprised he looked. Perhaps, he admitted. Okay, you win, he added when the girl glared at him and wanted to continue to talk. Akko HMMPF ed, causing Haruki to speak up, knowing the girl would not be easily stopped once being on a roll. As if she thought the same, she distracted Akko by jumping into her arms. Though the cat-like creature usually avoided all humans except for Naruto, she made an exception for Akko. She had an absolute loyalty to the one that fed her. What your teammate did was another thing though. I can't blame you for hitting him. Personally, I would rather have stuck a kunai in his throat, Haruki said dryly. Well, to be honest, I thought Sasuke hated me because of the Kyuubi, just like everyone else does, Naruto chuckled darkly. Seems like I never experienced people hating me because of me. I guess that acting as the prison for the demon that nearly destroyed Konoha makes me expect such behavior, he added sarcastically. Hinata froze as she walked by the window when she heard Naruto talk. She had hurried there to speak with him, but now she was unwillingly eavesdropping in a conversation she should not have heard. Her earlier happiness changed into horror. Had this been the truth that no one would talk about? Being thrown out again does annoy me a little though, Naruto continued. I just felt like things were going a little smoother. I mean, Sasuke is Sasuke, but Sakura seemed to change a little and even acted nice at times. Not after the attack though, guess that little show of bloodshed terrified her a bit. And seeing who I am, what I'm capable of. Gay, I guess the most surprising thing is that they even bother to transfer me. It not like the others would behave differently if they saw me for what I am. Weren't you the one who told me that all you two legs were different, she pointed out. You should listen to yourself. And you stated that the white-eyed two-leg Heim was different. Though the dog will obviously be an exception, it is merely logical to expect a dog to act stupid. Naruto-kun talked about me. Hanata realized with a shock, when she translated Chi's words. Chi is right, Naruto, Haruki sighed. Never give up the hope for a better future. Look at me, I already had accepted my death, and I hardly cared about what little life was left for me. Until they dropped the responsibility of looking after you on me. I was just waiting for my end, and you suddenly made things enjoyable again. Except the part where I had to teach you proper etiquette. Even if a few idiots act like that, doesn't mean everyone does. Hell, you know how scared I was when we first met, but that did not mean I turned out to hate you, right? Akko added. Not everyone is stupid enough to hate everything the once feared. And you said it yourself. Hinata-sama isn't as short-sighted as normal people are. You're right, Naruto sighed. But still I think I'll just go for a little walk. Some fresh air should clear my head. I need to think. Calm down. I understand Naruto, but don't take these things the wrong way. The Hokage did this for your sake as well, Haruki argued. I know. But this mission. Sometimes it is just like I'm slowly slipping away, Naruto admitted. I once believed that you humans would start accepting me if I protected them. But after this, it's just hard not to be angry. You're not slipping away, Akko said sharply. Remember the good things you did. I certainly remember them. Don't give in to despair, not because some prick judges you without knowing who you truly are. I know you are good, and I know every other person would have fallen if they had only a small part of your burden. Thank you, Akko-san. But I'm going for a walk now. I see you guys at dinner, all right. Don't worry, I'm fine. Naruto walked out. But how would you react, Akko, if you had seen me that day, slaughtering those mercenaries? Naruto asked himself. Run away, like all you humans, or would you have done something else? Silence remained for a little while, and Hinata stood there like she was frozen solid. These were not the kind of things she was meant to hear. And certainly not what she wanted to hear. It terrified her. Was this the true Naruto? I'm not buying it, Haruki said. No way that he is fine after going through all that. He has enough skill when it comes to lies, she added dryly. He was raised with all you white eyes after all. I know that, but, Akko said with more than a little desperation in her voice. But what can we do? If I were his teammate, when I was there when he changes. He needs someone to help him. Do you know for sure that you could accept what you would see? Haruki asked softly. Especially if you had not known about his secret. I've seen enough of Naruto to know that he can be trusted. More than most in this clan, Akko added sharply. She sighed and remained silent. Haruki's eyes suddenly widened in shock when she spoke up. Hinata-sama, would you care to join us? What? Akko said, and closed the window when Haruki pointed at it. They waited for the genin to enter the cottage. I guess you heard most of it. Akko said with a grimace. Hinata nodded, her face white as chalk due to the shock, so for once in her life she could not blush while being embarrassed. I apologize, Akko-san. I did not mean to hear, to listen to. I heard an Naruto-kun talk about. Tears filled her eyes. Why him? She exclaimed, as tears began to flow. Why? Why did they do that to him? I see. Haruki sighed. Though unfortunate, this might be for the best as well. At least now you know about some of the things Naruto did for the sake of the village. Or should I say, was forced to do. Now Naruto told you, even though indirectly, the Hokage's law no longer forbids me from telling you. Though I am sure that Hiyashi-sama will not like this, either. But you must know the truth. But I beg of you, please keep this knowledge to yourself for now. This is a secret, punishable by death, if you tell it. That is the law the Hokage made to protect Naruto. Haruki rubbed his head, punishing his mind how to say this in the best way possible. The day when Naruto was born, the Kyuubi attacked Konoha. We all know that the Yondaime Hokage defeated the creature, but fewer know that he could not kill it. A demon like that is far beyond a human's ability to destroy, so all he could do was to seal the creature away. Don't ask me how, I do not know this. But he did it at the cost of his own life. But with his sacrifice, the Yondaime ensured that it could not hurt people again. For some reason, the Yondaime picked Naruto. Though the Hokage tries to keep this knowledge as restricted as possible, there are enough people out there who know. And the opinions of the people who either know or suspect the truth about Naruto affect the others. That is why everyone hates Naruto. That is why he was so isolated, why he was thrown from one orphanage to the other when he was a child. Not that people openly acted against him, but there were some accidents, and Naruto is smart enough to see through another's facade. He is well aware how people see him. People are too stupid to see that it is Naruto who protects us all from that monster, Akko hissed. And despite all they did to him, he still does his duty. He protects us all. And while we could see the hatred that attacked him from the outside, we know nothing about what the Kyuubi does. The young woman started to pace around, her anger obvious, despite the Hyuga's usual preference to keep up a neutral mask. She still held Chi in her arms, but had stopped petting her. Hinata-sama, I guess you came here because you know about Naruto's transfer. Haruki guessed, waiting for the girl to nod. Then as a teammate, please help Naruto. He has been rejected for nearly all his life. It pains me to see that he feels rejected again, and yet again because of something which is not his fault. What should I do? Hinata asks, trying to wipe away her tears. Futile, as new tears flowed down just as fast as she wiped. What can I do? She sniffled. I want to help. There must be something I can. Akko looked torn. Be strong, and be there for him, listen to him. Don't push him to tell you things he doesn't want to share though. He will probably tell you himself when he thinks the time is right. What he needs now is to feel some trust from others. Now that you know, do you see the boy, or the monster? She asks. Do you see Naruto, or the Kyuubi? Why would I? Naruto-kun can't help that the demon was sealed inside him. Why would I blame him? Good, perhaps this two-leg really does have the potential to save him. Single quote. She thought as the girl continued to mutter her answer to the cat's question. If you truly feel like that, I will help you to find Naruto. That two-leg is the one who saved me. I owe him my life. But I cannot do the same for him. He does no longer listen to reason. Yes, sickly two-leg, you should have heard the despair in his voice too, she added when she saw the man look. When logic and reason fail, perhaps emotion can still convince him. The heart usually takes over when the brain can't handle things. Save him of what? What are you playing at? Akko asks. She sighed. What happens when people continuously reject you, and refuse to accept that you are one of them? If it happens long enough, you will estrange yourself from your surroundings. Didn't you just hear him talking about, you humans? What would happen if Naruto saw himself as a demon? What if his will was broken, if he gave up his desire to be accepted? while that will of his is the most important thing to keep the demon at bay. But he knows. Akko protested. He knows, she said pointedly. He knows that he is not the Kyuubi. But that does not mean he sees himself as a human being. Besides, knowing is not the same as feeling. It is not what he knows that worries me, it is what he feels. You mean? Haruki sighed. You might be right, Chi. What do you mean? Hinata voiced her confusion. Whenever Naruto wants to be alone, he goes to a certain training ground. She will guide you, Haruki replied. Perhaps you can convince him that not all humans hate him. That he should still have hope. Maybe you succeed where we could not, Hinata-sama. Hinata nodded, not trusting her voice despite her determination. Maybe Akko-san is right. Maybe I should feel a little pride for what I did, Naruto mused. He was sitting on a branch of a huge tree, just a bit past the border of Training Ground 44, one of his favorite places around Konoha. The Forest of Death, a fitting place for a demon to relax. Because the area was closed off, and forbidden to enter, Naruto had been curious. That is why he entered it, roughly a year ago. He was not bothered by the creatures living there, as they usually fled when they noticed him. When they noticed the Kyuubi. So this area was a place of tranquility to him. No humans around to disturb him. No one who could bother him, or give him one of those cold hateful glares he got so accustomed to. Even though the Hyuga place had been his home for a long time now, it was also rather crowded. And people who could look through walls gave him the impression he had little privacy. Despite the general rule amongst the clan members to not misuse the Byakugan indoors. The penalties on indecent behavior were quite high. I guess trusting people has never been my strongest point. Not that there are a lot who gave me the chance to do so. Jisun, Jiraiya, Haruki-san, and Akko-san, mentally listing the 4 people who he had opened up to during his life. And perhaps there are some others crazy enough. Naruto laughed at his idea. Yeah right, why would I even dream of it? This is not some bullshit story where friends magically appear out of nowhere. I accepted that I am not human, so why would I expect a humane treatment from a human? Since when would a human treat something as inhuman as me as its equal? When they cannot even treat their fellow humans equally. Pondering over what he should do, now he got removed from Team 7, Naruto wondered how his new team would react to these changes. They had worked together for a few months now, just like he had with Sasuke and Sakura, so they would probably treat him like an outsider. Worse yet, they could hold him responsible for taking Shino away from them. And that was even before they would discover who he really was. I am an idiot. I should have run away a long time ago, leave this shitty place and start over somewhere far away. Naruto sighed. But then what? It would only be a matter of time before they declared me to be a missing nin, and send Anbu or hunter nins after me. And bounty hunters, I'm not strong enough to beat a Jonin yet. It would definitely exclude the possibility to live a life as an ordinary civilian, as my chakra would give me away to anyone with a speck of talent with regard to sensory abilities. Seeking refuge in other hidden village is also not a real option. They would probably either imprison me because I'm from Konoha, even if they would not know about the Kyuubi. So I would be fucked no matter what. No, his best option would probably to live in the wild, all alone. With no humans around to pester him. To judge him for something he couldn't help. Why was his existence a crime? As Naruto thought on that, he heard the sounds of hunting tigers. If only I could live a carefree life as those tigers, Naruto started thinking. Just spend my time hunting and eating. Just me against the world, without all the confusion of other people around me. That would be peaceful, I think. Listening to the tigers, he suddenly noticed a female voice calling out for help. Hanata looked around her and saw death. Giant, hungry tigers had surrounded her. Though she, who was now in her large form, had managed to disable a few of the tigers, she knew they were no match. They were too strong, too fast, too nimble. Jumping into the trees was no option either, they would attack her the moment she would have to let her defenses down to jump. Besides, even though she was now in her larger form, the injury the feline had sustained would prevent her from climbing. And Hanata was in no condition to both climb up the tree and carry the cat, while defending herself at the same time. She growled at their opponents, annoyed that she had been caught off guard. Someone, help me, Hinata screamed in desperation. Who am I kidding? Why would someone risk his life to save a failure like me? She thought bitterly as the closest tiger jumped. Only to be smacked into a nearby tree. Naruto had come. Naruto-kun, the terrified girl mumbled, before everything went dark. The presence of the Kyuubi, a vastly superior predator compared to them, was enough to convince the tigers to abandon their hunt. Like all other creatures, they either ran away in fear, or submitted themselves to Naruto. One of the few advantages of carrying that damned fox in me, Naruto mumbled darkly, as he looked down at his unconscious teammate-to-be. Why the hell was she here? Did she follow me? He asked her companion. Looking for you, she panted, changing back to her smaller form. She wanted to speak with you, seeing how she became your teammate. Those damn tigers, she looked at the cut on her left thigh. Not even mentioning the exhaustion she felt because she had to transform and fight in her larger form. Despite being well fed, her transformation still took too much of her chakra reserves. Naruto carried them both to a nearby clearing, next to a little spring. Using the cold water to clear the few cuts she had, Naruto was relieved that none of the wounds Hinata had suffered were deep enough to cause trouble. Not that they would disappear in a few hours, like with him, but even for a normal human these wounds should only be a minor inconvenience. Well, she wouldn't die from it. Naruto did not really know what was considered as a serious injury for normal people. She just said that she needed sleep, while she focused her chakra on speeding up her recovery. While washing the blood out of his shirt, which had used to clean Hinata up with, Naruto noticed the mud that was still on Hinata's face. Unfortunately, she decided to wake up the moment he was cleaning her face. Perhaps the cold damp cloth had woken her, Naruto couldn't tell. Seeing the boy hanging over her, with his bare chest, was enough for her to get her blood flowing again. All of it, instantly. Naruto-kun, she stuttered. She backed away when she saw him frown. Why? He asks, completely serious despite what had just happened. Why? She asked confused. He pointed at her. Why are you here? This place is dangerous. I saw Haruki-san. Chi-san, she uttered. Saw you walk away, it thought. Ul looked so troubled. Not really a reason to risk your life for, is it? Naruto said, raising his brows. There are warning signs all over the place. This area is off limits, and not without reason. It's dangerous. Why not? You are my teammate now. Right. Kurenai-sensei taught us we should look after our teammates. She hid her real reasoning. I am hardly your team member, and it has yet to become official. If Shino even agrees, that is, Naruto grimaced. Naruto waited a bit, while she struggled to answer. But I guess Kurenai-sensei told you guys. Though it would have made sense if you came after me to ask me to refuse this transfer thing, I guess that's not the point either. You could either just have waited for me to run away, or give me the final push, instead of risking your life. Hanata blushed. Refuse. Run away. Why? I don't want you to leave. Naruto's hollow laughter lit a fire in her, larger than she had ever anticipated. I am serious, she said firmly while hitting his chest. The combination of laughing and the exhaustion he felt due not sleeping properly from to all the frustration of the previous days caused the minor push to be enough for him to lose balance and fall into the spring behind him. Splashing in the shallow water, he regained his balance and got out. Only for him to burst out in laughter again, this time real laughter, because of the look Hinata had. If that is your order, Hinata-sama, he said, she frowned. San. Thank you. He grinned weakly, seeing her confusion. Apparently she couldn't decide which emotion she wanted to show on her face, so she just showed them all. I didn't order you to. So tell me, why don't you want me to abandon Konoha? He asks, catching her off guard. Hinata tried not to blush, even though she felt what little confidence she had just gained slip away again. Why would I want you to leave? She shyly riposted. Why? Naruto frowned. Why not? Pretty much everyone hates me, so why wouldn't you? You saved me, Hinata mumbled. And even if everyone hates you, doesn't mean that they are right. I believe they are all wrong. Hinata almost shuddered when she looked into Naruto's eyes. He seemed to wonder if she was serious, but all she saw was the coldness in his eyes. Skepticism. The bright and gentle twinkle she sometimes saw in his eyes had vanished and was replaced by a pensive and distant look. She saw his chakra, grim and unrelenting as the scorching sun in midsummer. Where had the brightness and gentleness gone? And what would you do if they were right? Naruto said softly. Would you run away, and hate me too? No. I don't believe, you would never do something that could justify any hatred. Because you are not. Why you are too gentle, she decided. Hinata's blush grew redder and redder while Naruto stared at her. Hinata, I am not kind or gentle or anything. I'm a shinobi, I do whatever Gentleness is the last thing. You would never hurt someone who was innocent, Hinata cut him off. You saved me, and who knows who else. I may not be very talented, but I can see enough. Naruto sighed. Maybe I should give teammate a chance. It's not like I have somewhere else to go anyway. Freedom. I will only be free if I get killed. No matter where I go, I can never escape what I am. And perhaps taking revenge on all those idiots would be more fun. Naruto mused, imagining how the village would be if he removed all those who hated him. Besides, she more or less ordered me to. One of the tigers had cut her leg, and Naruto did not want to waste time. So Naruto decided to carry Hinata, while a Bunshin carried Chi, so they could travel fast. He had picked her up before she could protest. Carrying her in his arms, princess style, he jumped over the trees and the rooftops. She was surprised at the speed with which he moved. Still, the look in his eyes had not changed much. But at least he had not left, as he said he had been thinking of it. Hinata noticed the warmth he radiated. Not that Hinata experienced their entire run towards the Hyuga compound, as she picked up her old habit of fainting again. Seeing her student in bandages the day after certainly caused her to raise her brow. Kurenai had called together her reformed team in order to do a new round of introduction. Welcome, Naruto. I'd like us to do a little round of introductions, so you know a little more about us. We never really got to know each other during our previous mission together. I will start. My name is Yuhi Kurenai, I am 28 years old, and a Jonin specialized in genjutsu. Though I also learned some Fuinjutsu, she added, causing him some surprise. I am Hyuga Hanata, 12, and a genin trained in my clan's taijutsu style, the gentle fist. Inuzuka Kiba, the boy said on a bored tone. Akamaru, he pointed at the yipping dog on top of his head. Naruto scratched the back of his head and looked around, not sure if the Jonin was serious about this. It actually looked like she cared, which was already better than his previous sensei. Uzumaki Naruto, 12. Kakashi warned me that I should interrogate you thoroughly regarding your abilities, unless I wanted to be surprised all of the time, Kurenai smiled. If that is what you wish. I have affinities with both Fuiden and Kaden jutsus. Naruto sighed, not very interested in this. And not really willing to spill all his secrets. 2 elements. Kiba frowned, too surprised to keep up his indifferent act. Air. Yes. Naruto shrugged. Wind and fire jutsus are the easiest for me. Tried the others as well, but that's much more difficult, especially Suiden and Doden. Anyway, I also know a numbers of seals and barriers, mostly based of the techniques I inherited from my clan, and your clan. Hinata acts in surprise, feeling a bit foolish that she had never taken the time to do some research on Naruto's heritage. Then again, Hinata had a strong dislike towards the whole bloodline obsession that most shinobi had. She wanted to believe that people could be great because of whom they were, not because of who they were born as. Yeah, seems like the Uzumaki clan was specialized in Fuinjutsu. Not that it saved them from extinction, Naruto shrugged. Where was I? Besides the regular jutsu from academy, I also have the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, as well as the Taju variant of it. Oh yeah, I have a summoning contract with the Toads. Kurenai whistled. That's quite a list. No wonder Kakashi-senpai was surprised. How is your chakra control? She knew she wouldn't have to ask about his chakra reserves, knowing it would be seemingly endless. Kakashi was surprised. I thought that indifferent bastard never gave a damn about me, Naruto frowned. I know the tree climbing, water walking, and several other control exercises. Won't say I'm as good as Hinata-sama, but at least I don't suck as much as most. Hanata felt embarrassed that Naruto saw her as being superior to him when it came to control. Plus, you have enormous chakra reserves, she added. An advantage of the Uzumaki clan, Kurenai added quickly, not wanting to talk about the Kyuubi. Could you explain a few of the seals you know, Naruto? Naruto sighed, accepting that he could not get away from this that easily. Well, the most useful is the stealth seal, which basically removes my presence to others. When it's active, no one will hear me, see me, or smell me. I'm undetectable. A few offensive seals that I know relate to the fire element, such as the immolation seal which melts away the target it is attached to, or the infernal seal that blows things up. Another seal enables me to increase the weight of objects. A variation of that seal enables me to increase the gravitation in a small area for a few moments. Not really useful yet, but I'm working on it. Naruto rubbed his chin. Naruto frowned, and continued almost monotonously. The sentry seal is useful for noticing intruders, also tweaked it so it can function as the cornerstones for a barrier wall. Pausing for a moment, Naruto felt a little embarrassed because of the amazed looks of the others. I also know the basics of counter seals, which are seals that could trap other seals. Not very stable till now though. I almost blew up Ichiraku's once, when I tried to use it on my own infernal seal. He smiled weakly at the memory. I also study other things, such as the basics of a seal which should function as a marker for the Shunshin Jutsu. I still screw up with the accuracy though. He shuddered for a moment. Takes a shitload of chakra, but in theory it should enable me to nearly instantly move to spots that I can't even see. Also explains the danger of missing the mark though. I only practice that one with Bunshin and in the open field. I don't want to end up inside a wall or something. Hinata looked a bit greenish at the idea. I guess there is little I can teach you on Fuinjutsu, Kurenai added thoughtfully. She doubted if Kakashi even asked him what he could do, or else he would have been even more impressed. I could teach you the seals for storing weapons, food, and drinking water though. Can I ask how you learned all this? Well, the old pervert, Jiraiya, taught me quite a bit, and he gave me a large collection of Uzumaki scrolls and books. With the use of some Kage Bunshin, it is pretty easy to speed up the rate at which I read and learn them. Well, it still took me a few years. Naruto added with a pensive look. And your taijutsu? Kurenai asks. Kakashi had already warned her that the Sannin had involved himself with Naruto's training, but he had refused to tell her why. And weapons training. My taijutsu is average at best, though the morning trainings I followed with the team of the Jonin Maeda guy improved my skills a bit. I still think I have to work on my speed though. As for weapons, I never really trained much with them. Maeda guy would never take in a student unless he saw a large potential in him. Kurenai considered. Well, I suggest we use today to train, so that we can learn to know each other's abilities a bit better, alright? How did you learn all that shit anyway? Kiba demanded. I told you, Kage Bunshin. Naruto shrugged, not understanding why Kiba asks. What about Bunshin? Kiba frowned. Why would those things help? Naruto sighed. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu is different from the regular Bunshin no Jutsu. Or even the elemental Bunshin types. Whatever a Kage Bunshin experiences will be transmitted back to its user when the jutsu is ended. As Kiba tried to figure this out, never having been very talented when it came to studying the theory behind jutsus, Kurenai took the word. Why don't you create a few clones so you can spar with Hinata and Kiba? Kurenai suggested. A few. Naruto raised one brow. What, 10, 20? Idiot, if you create that many, they would be too weak to fight us, Kiba scoffed, trying to save his pride after not understanding the Kage Bunshin previously. He at least knew that the Kage Bunshin was a jutsu only few used due to the chakra costs. Really? Why? Naruto seemed truly surprised. He probably doesn't even feel the strain it creates on his chakra reserves. But still, to talk so casual about such a technique, that ability of him would be useful if I want to train them to fight against superior numbers, Kurenai mused. 2 should do for now, Naruto. These are just one-on-one duels, only light hits, so no injuries. You duel me, she added. You out of curiosity though, how many can you create? I don't know, Naruto shrugged. Ah, just stop it. Inazuka scolded her son. Why? He is hiding something, Kiba replied with an annoyed tone. So you have repeated now, for the last 15 minutes, his sister added. But everyone hides something. Like in that drawer. Shut it, Hana. He growled before being hit. Quiet, both of you, Sum barked. Hana is right, we all have secrets. Obviously, I can't tell you all I know about the boy, but will tell you the Hyuga took him in a couple of years ago. They may be idiots, but they see danger just as well as we can smell it. He does smell dangerous, Kiba replied darkly. Problems? Kakashi axed upon seeing Kurenai's frown. Not really, but changing teams so shortly before the exams is a bit troublesome, she admitted. You've gained an excellent genin, Guy boasted. It is too bad he can't join my youthful morning exercises anymore though. Both Lee and Tenten cooperated very well with him, despite his reputation. Training teamwork should be the focus now, Kakashi sighed, supporting Kurenai's judgment. Sadly, that also means another load of D-ranked missions. Especially due to Sasuke's behavior. At least Shino fits better in the group, and manages to keep things calm. I bet, Kurenai smiled. Shino may be very silent, but he is quite talented. Speaking of which, do you two have any idea what Naruto's potential is? Kakashi frowned, but Guy was the first to speak. Naruto-kun, he has his burdens, and is rather secretive, never really trusting anyone, so I cannot speak for what he will become. But if he develops well enough, I believe he could easily attain power of a level that would befit a Hokage. At the very least, Kakashi agreed. He is quite unusual for a genin. True, the Kyuubi increases his innate strength by quite a margin, but still, the rate at which he progresses is astounding. But I worry what the influence of the Kyuubi will be. He seems rather distant, Guy mused. As if he does not care about the people around him, rather unyouthful. He is polite, but never really opens up. Though, Tenten said he started to talk a little more recently. But that was before. You know. We've done a couple of missions now, Kurenai said. Most of the time he just seems uninterested, but when he acts, I doubt that most of our Chunin could handle him. Even many of the Jonin would have trouble when dealing with his mastery of Fuinjutsu. He still is weak when it comes to teamwork, Kakashi said on a serious tone. I wouldn't say that he is arrogant, but like you said, he is not really interested in others, not in his allies, but also no in his enemies. It would almost make you wonder if he even cares about his own survival. Kurenai grimaced. Containing that demon forced his development to speed up at greater rate than I have ever seen. There have been some with such exceptional talents in Konoha in the past, Kakashi countered. But I admit that they are very rare. Perhaps Itachi, or my old sensei. But if Naruto can keep his mental stability, he surely will be an incredible asset to Konoha, Guy blinded his fellow Jonin with his smile. Somehow, the green-clad Jonin always managed to reflect sunlight with his teeth, even when standing inside a building. As if his enthusiasm was enough to bend the laws of nature. Naruto scowled. What is wrong, Naruto? You do understand we need some D-rank missions first to get adjusted to the new team, do you? Kurenai asks. Yeah, I know, Naruto sighed, but they should make that accursed cat A or B rank mission, not D. When the others looked at him, he scowled again. Had to capture the damn thing several times now, it always keeps running away from me. Kiba smirked. Cats are dumb animals, unlike dogs. Akamaru yipped happily. But this one is easy to catch, just put Hinata down there and the cat jumps in her arms. Never let Chi hear you, Kiba. Naruto frowned. She would claw your eyes out. If she's in a good mood. In the end, both were right. Naruto had to keep himself at a distance, so that the cat could jump into Hinata's arms. Once there, even though unhappy about Naruto's presence, the creature refused to move. This in turn caused some irritation for the cat's owner. Tora the cat was not willing to leave the safety of Hinata's arms, even if it was to return to the daimyo's wife, who owned the cat. After the whole Zabuza thing, Naruto had almost forgotten how boring normal D-rank missions were. Finally the day is over, Naruto grumbled as he walked back home. And Naruto-kun. What's wrong, Hinata-sama? Hinata blushed. Please. No honorifics, we're teammates now, right? She asked shyly. That may be, But your social standing is still above my own, Naruto countered. But what bothers you? D do you, I mean. Naruto raised one brow, which only made her stutter worse, though she eventually managed to ask whether he liked his new team or not. Kurenai-sensei has a vastly different approach to training her genin, compared to Kakashi-sensei, Naruto remarked. Almost seems like she genuinely cares about us. Though she seems to be a little afraid of making us train too hard, maybe because she cares too much. I don't know. But that could just be me, because I am used to Guy-sensei and his crazy morning exercises. But why you seemed troubled at first, Naruto-kun? Naruto shrugged. It's no big deal. Whatever happened, happened. I've already passed that. Hinata knew that Naruto usually hid his emotions very well, but she could pretty easily see through this lie. But why? What happened between Sasuke-kun and Sasuke-tem believed he needed to kill an enemy that was already out cold. I stood in between, but he didn't care, Naruto sighed. Though, it is safe to say that we did not like each other anyway. A fireball more or less didn't change that. I know, Hanata said downcast, remembering the incidental conflicts both boys had during their academy years. But why did it affect you so much? Did the mission? Was that the? What is she after? Naruto wondered. Normally, she hardly seems to have the will to talk to me, and now she is interrogating me. The mission turned badly. Yes, Naruto decided what he wanted to tell. We presumed it was a C rank mission, but it turned out to be an A rank mission. Did you have to kill people? Naruto was somewhat surprised at the question. Sure, but we had to. It was either us killing them, or the other way around, Naruto shrugged. Not that it was fun, he added upon seeing Hinata's distraught expression. Killing people is never fun. But it is unavoidable. Hinata-sama, we are shinobi. We have to endure whatever the mission throws at us. And because of human nature, we have to do terrible things to protect those who deserve protection. If I hadn't stopped those mercenaries in the land of waves, they would have pillaged, raped, and murdered. They would have left a village of ruins and corpses. If those are my alternatives, I prefer spilling blood, rather than turning away. I could only make a choice for the least evil way to solve the problem. Naruto frowned. Besides, they were merely humans. Tisk. Don't be so harsh on her, stupid two-leg, a voice sounded. She graciously jumped down a nearby building. White-eyed two-leg Haim was merely curious because she's worried about you. See chi. Hinata tried to protest, her head red with embarrassment. I wouldn't. Well, we're teammates, chi, Naruto said, oblivious to the fact that Hinata was fidgeting with her index fingers, something which she always did when she was very embarrassed. Sure, she said mischievously. Though, the princess is at least a bit more subtle than Pinky. Subtle. Naruto acts, confused. What? I hope you, please don't mind Kiba. He is a bit confused because of the change. Hinata desperately tried to change the subject, having an idea about which direction Chi was pointing at. And with success, as she knew Chi absolutely disliked their teammate and his dog, Akamaru. Rudeness is normal for dogs. And clearly the two-leg is infected with the dog brain sickness. Naruto smirked. Don't be so vicious, cat. Do you want my nails in your shoulder again? No, Chi-sama, the boy mocked her by imitating her voice. But I more or less expected Kiba's reaction. Knowing him, he continued before Chi made her threat reality. But Hanata seemed rather down. Stop your worrying. Naruto faked a smile. As long as Kiba doesn't try to kill me, things have improved compared to Team 7, right? Mother. Hanata started. What's wrong, Hanata? Hitomi smiled gently. I heard Naruto-kun talk the other day, and I know now. Know what? Hitomi frowned, hoping that she interpreted her daughter's body language wrong. That Naruto-kun has something sealed inside him, the demon, Hinata almost whispered. Why didn't you tell me, mother? Why did father not tell me? Hinata. Hitomi was glad that Hiyashi was not around when their daughter seemed to have a nervous breakdown. Naruto carries a great burden. It is a secret, and if I had told you I would have committed a crime punishable by death. Hinata paled a little. I didn't know. But now that you know, do you fear Naruto-kun? Hitomi asks, curious what the effect would be. She knew very well how her daughter felt about the boy, and doubted that even the Kyuubi could change much about that. No, Hinata protested. Naruto-kun can't help. He is not the demon. Precisely, her mother replied with some pride noticeable. But many do not know the distinction. Does father know about it as well? Of course he does. We knew before we accepted Naruto as our clan's honored guest. Listen, Hanata, I will not lie to you and say that Naruto-kun is not dangerous. He has a terrible burden, and is hated by both the people outside and the demon inside. I doubt many people would have remained as sane as Naruto-kun still is. But Naruto-kun, do not be mistaken, Hinata, her mother corrected her gently. Naruto-kun might seem strong, but if you pay close attention, you too will see that he is merely hiding his suffering. Has he ever shown you his real emotions? What? How? Hinata blushed. Hinata, remember your lessons. People will always hide part of who they truly are. Hinata nodded, and Hitomi continued. And Naruto has never learned to trust others. He was truly alone, before he started living here. And even with us, he barely opened up. Even to my cousin. Hinata nodded again, remembering how he always acted during the academy. Naruto-kun smiles sometimes when he talks to others. But when he thinks nobody is looking at him, it feels like the distance has only grown. Naruto-kun probably feels rejected by his old team, and is probably hesitant to trust his new team, Hitomi smiled sadly. But now that you know, I trust that you know you can't tell Kiba-kun about this, but you could support Naruto-kun whenever he needs it, right? Yes, Hanata said with a glimmer of confidence that even Hitomi rarely saw in her daughter. Not for the first time Hitomi felt disappointed she could not protect her own daughter against all the rumors within their clan. On the other hand, protection would only make her weaker. Hitomi knew like no other that the world becomes a harsh place when you are trained to look through deception. The woman smiled at her daughter, deciding that Hinata could only grow because of this, if only she was pointed in the right direction. But remember, this subject is painful for Naruto-kun. Don't try forcing him to talk about it. Just listen to him when he wants to talk. Hinata nodded with a serious face. I will try my best, mother. That good-natured two-leg. She thought, sitting on the other side of the door, unnoticed by mother and daughter. Perhaps she can indeed save Naruto-sama. Her big, gentle heart might figure out a way to help him close the wounds of his soul. After she ordered Kiba to spar with an oddly subdued Hinata, Kurenai focused her attention on her new student. Naruto, she started. Before we start, I would like to ask you something. Sensei, your dream. How do you intend to become Hokage? The Hokage is the strongest of Konoha, the boy frowned. The champion of the village. That's how. I will become the strongest, so that people can't help but acknowledge me. Becoming Hokage concerns more than just brute strength, Naruto. Yeah, but politics won't be in my favor anyway. I know what I am. What people see me as. If I want to become the Hokage, I will have to fight an uphill battle. That's why I train. One day, my strength will become great enough to render all that political crap useless. Words do not defeat any opponent. Politics also prevents conflict. Kurenai frowned. Do you think you can use your strength to rule? Naruto laughed hollowly. You mean if I plan to dominate the village by force, to become a dictator? The smile vanished and his blue eyes became cold and hard like ice. I know what it is to be afraid of others, sensei. To be powerless, the victim of those who stand above you. I will change this world. But do not expect me to be evil because of that fox. I want to end this system which creates outcasts. A system which encourages isolation and loneliness, merely because not everyone is equal. Where clans can create their own private worlds, isolated from their surroundings in their own pride and arrogance, degrading those who not belong to their group to second-rate shinobi. You want revenge? No, why would I want that? Naruto asked with a completely surprised tone. Sure, it would be amusing, he chuckled. But it would not change the fact that these things have already happened. I'd rather make sure that it will never happen again. That is what I will fight for. Even if I stand on my own, someone has to make those stupid humans see what they are doing. He always talks about humans as if he is not human himself. Kurenai realized. But at least his intentions are better than I had expected. Not that they will give him many supporters within the current government. Right. Then my next question is, why do you ignore teamwork? Kurenai shifted the boy's attention from his individual effort to his team. During the last week, you mostly worked on your own whenever you got the chance. I know Kiba's attitude is not exactly constructive. But at least listen to Hinata. Naruto grimaced for a second, but regained his neutral face so quickly that Kurenai questioned her own eyesight. I've always worked alone, he said on an even tone. And people seem to prefer it that way, so that they can avoid me. Kurenai frowned, somewhat distraught by his answer. Surely his former team did not treat him that badly, did they? Then again, Kakashi-senpai has seen too much. Seen too much of the darkness in this world. Asuma mentioned that that was the reason why he had chosen to quit Anbu. Well, in Team 8 you will have to work together with your teammates. And if any of them complain about you, I'll make them change their opinions about you. Like I said against the Hokage that day, Team 8 lacked power, and I am convinced that you can compensate for that, Naruto. After all, you are an ninjutsu specialist. Power shouldn't be a problem, Naruto said darkly. Or perhaps it will be, when they see the chakra which that fox gives me, he nodded to his teammates. Things will be differently this time, Kurenai promised him. Shall we start? Naruto dropped into his fighting stance. Naruto's taijutsu, which was decent but not great, had elements of both the Hyuga's Juken, and the Goken style he learned from Guy. Typical for Naruto to show his creativity even in taijutsu, Kurenai smiled. And his creativity and planning make up for his lack in speed as well. Chapter 10. Bandit. A bandit was reported to have harassed several travelers. I want Team 8 to deal with this bandit, the Hokage briefed them. Though armed, there is little reason to believe that the man responsible is a threat, hence the C classification. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Kurenai said, accepting the scroll with the mission details. Gather your equipment, we meet at the gates in 1 hour, she ordered her genin. Having traveled to the northwest for several hours, Team 8 halted for the day. Next to a mountain, they had found a clearing amidst the forest, with a small river running next to it. It was a nice place to set up a camp, almost deceptively peaceful, even though they could have traveled for another hour. Kurenai watched as Naruto deployed several clones, which he ordered to gather wood, food, and water for his teammates. Not that the original was doing much, as he was playing with a water balloon. What's with the balloon? She eventually decided to ask him. Hanata also popped up, revealing her curiosity. Meh, some strange exercise given to me by Jiraiya-sensei, Naruto shrugged. In these cases he always referred to the pervert as his sensei. A balloon. Yes. The old man may be strange, but I can't deny his skill. He is one of the legendary 3, Kurenai smiled, already having heard from Kakashi that the Sannin had taken an interest in the genin's development. But what does he want you to do? Naruto bit his thumb, and placed his hand on the ground. A small orange toad appeared. Yo, what's up? It croaked. What was the point of the whole water balloon thing again? Naruto asked him, barely even interrupting his focus on the balloon. The frog sighed. Something about rotation. You had to make the water spin so that the balloon popped, and after that you had to try the rubber balls, and then empty rubber balloons without popping them. You see. Naruto put down his balloon and turned towards his new sensei and teammate. That's what Ero Sennin told Gamakichi. He did not explain what the point is, only that, so we don't know either. Turning back to Kichi again, Naruto asks, care to practice today? No thanks, Pops just called me and Tatsu over for training. Tomorrow. The toad vanished after Naruto had nodded. So you communicate with Jiraiya-sama through toads? Kurenai remarked with an impressed tone. Yeah, there is that as well, though Gamakichi and I also play card games and train our jutsus. I can also summon the larger toads during fights. A toad with the size of an apartment block really packs a punch. Hanata smiled at the casual way Naruto spoke of such techniques. Does that jutsu require a lot of chakra to use? Depends. Initially I had trouble summoning a tadpole, but when I finally understood the technique, most of the frogs were pretty easy to summon. If they agreed, at least. The big ones, like Kichi's dad, took a whole lot more. Summoning Gamabunta almost killed me the first time, Naruto scratched the back of his head. Though part of that was because he tried to eat me. Eat you? Kurenai exclaimed. Yup. Bunta is the boss of the toads, so he is pretty proud. He thought Jiraiya was pulling a prank on him, and didn't like having a kid like me on the top of his head, Naruto shrugged. It took Jiraiya quite some effort to calm him down. So, does anyone else have summoning contracts? No, Naruto, that is not something which is very common, Kurenai smiled. Though I believe the Hyuga have a contract, Hinata. Our clan has, but I am not yet worthy to earn the contract, the white-eyed girl responded with a sad voice. Stop underestimating yourself like that, Kiba growled, jumping down near them. It's not your fault your clan is filled with idiots. Naruto looked at him. Haven't heard about that contract before, a main family thing. The contract is rarely invoked, Hanata said softly. I believe that the party usually refuses to be summoned, so we rarely talk about it. Naruto frowned, knowing that summoning contracts were rather complicated. The Hyuga must either have violated the terms of the contract, or the creatures which had to be summoned were untrustworthy. Naruto stored it away, so he could ask Chi about it when they came back home. Anyway, should I place some sentry seals now that we are all gathered here? He stalked off after Kurenai gave him a nod. Even though he separated himself from others like this. It is remarkable that he stayed this good, considering what everyone did to him, she thought. She noticed Hinata's eyes, which followed the boy. Perhaps she would have Hinata and Naruto spar more regularly, as it could form a good exercise for her to increase her chakra reserves. And a good way for the two of them to get closer. But first something to eat. So the bandit is around here, sensei. Kiba asks. Based on the information we have, yes. A black-haired man wielding a katana, average body size, robs travelers in this area, Kurenai explained. So what will we do? Hinata asks. You and Naruto set up camp over there, next to that hill. Kiba, Akamaru, and I will scout out the area. We should be able to pick up his scent. As the three ran off, Hinata turned towards Naruto. She quickly followed him, as he was already moving, while sending out a dozen of clones to gather supplies, and ordering another dozen to set up traps near their campsite. Do you think the bandit will try to attack us here, Naruto-kun? Doubtful, but just in case. If the guy has any brains he'll figure out we are not easy targets, so we will have to track him down, while he will try to avoid us. I suppose you are right, she stumbled. Naruto looked at her. What do you mean? If I do something wrong, just say so, he said. I mean, it's not like I care if that guy is stupid enough to attack us. The guy would be fodder compared to Sensei. Kiba and Akamaru wouldn't be defeated either. And you would just zap him before he knows what happened to him. Zap. I saw your Juken a few times, Naruto shrugged. You are probably as fast as Neji-san is, though I think he has the advantage in reach and power. But he's a year older, so. Neji-Nisan is a genius in Juken, Hanata said downcast. He was probably holding back when you. Nope. Hazashi-sama doesn't give him the opportunity to hold back, Naruto frowned. Kiba is right, you should have a little more confidence in your skills. You did better than me during academy. Hanata blushed when he put his hand on her shoulder. He smiled, but his blue eyes still seemed distant to her. But now that she knew what he was hiding, she understood that this was not because of her. Here, he said, throwing her a water balloon. He created another set of clones to put up the two tents. According to what Kichi explained to me, I had to make the water spin around at high speed, only using my chakra, and make the balloon pop. Hanata activated her Byakugan as he demonstrated what he thought had to be done. Naruto-kun, the water is only spinning one direction, while the balloon is too elastic to pop from it. He frowned and looked at her. You think that a continuous flow would fail, so if I disrupted it, I could succeed. Well, if the assignment is spinning, it would not mean disrupting the spinning. Hanata said doubtfully, too hesitant to speak her mind. Come on, spit it out, Naruto frowned. Or do you want me to call you Hinata-sensei first? He wondered, semi-serious. No, she squeaked quickly. And no, you don't have to. It's just. Perhaps you should create multiple flows, instead of a single one. If the water spins in different directions at once. Naruto frowned, thinking deeply. I thought that the speed of the rotation would be the most important aspect. And with a single flow, the balloon just stretches along, but if. That's genius. Naruto realized. Why didn't I think of that? I saw it becoming flat while I knew from the drawings that it had to be shaped like an orb, he said as he smacked his head. Thank you, Hanata, he smiled, creating yet another set of Kage Bunshin to speed up the training. Come on, we'll practice it together. Kurenai wondered what had happened when she returned to camp. Naruto was smiling, for once seemingly genuinely happy, with his clothes soaked. Hanata blushed furiously. As the boy had removed his shirt to let it dry, he walked around in an undershirt made of mesh armor. The latter he had bought after the Zabuza mission. Seeing Haku's needles had been reason enough for Naruto. It worked, he exclaimed. Hanata is a genius. Wait, what the hell happened? Kiba asked, frowning. Naruto summoned another water balloon from the storage scroll, held it up in his right hand, and made it explode. Akamaru barked at him when he was hit by the water. Sorry Akamaru. Naruto grinned. This damned exercise frustrated me for months. Why you? Kiba grumbled. Idiot. Hanata still felt weak. After a few hours, Naruto had figured out how to pop the balloon. Or at least, one of his Bunshin did. She helped him whenever she could. Using the Byakugan, she tried to replicate his actions at the same time. When Naruto figured out, it had been a matter of minutes before the combined knowledge of all the clones enabled him to pop the balloon within mere seconds. Hanata felt somewhat disappointed in herself, because she was unable to do what he did with such ease. Never before had she realized how much more skilled her new teammate was. Even though she had seen much of his struggle when he trained to improve his chakra control. It had become a great endeavor for his teachers to train his flawed ability. And now she suspected that she knew why he had so much trouble. It had to be the Kyuubi who tried to thwart Naruto's development. Controlling two chakras at the same time would be extremely difficult, not even taking the sheer mass of the chakra into account, or the likely resistance which the demon would put up. Despite feeling exhausted by her attempts to replicate Naruto's training method, she felt pride for him. His efforts began to pay off, and soon all Konoha would see the mistake they made by misjudging Naruto like this. After dinner, Kurenai decided to make her students practice some more taijutsu, by letting them spar. Kiba had the advantages of speed and strength, while Hinata was as elusive as always. Her flexibility was rather amazing. Naruto felt like he performed badly, especially now that Kiba was darting around him. Kurenai frowned. Kiba was more than happy to take out his dislike of Naruto out on him. But why was Naruto slower than usual? Naruto-kun, Hinata interrupted her two teammates. How? What are those on your arms and legs? Oh, these are gifts from Gai-sensei, Naruto responded. For training. Though I must admit they're a little heavy. Training weights. Kurenai asks. You spar with those weights on? Sure. Gai-sensei said that I would improve most if I kept them on at all times. Did Gai tell you how much chakra you should put into those weights? Kurenai grimaced, recognizing the problem of the adjustable weights. Depending on how much chakra the user put into them, the weights would grow heavier. And Kurenai did not need a dojutsu to recognize that Naruto put way too much into them. Naruto scratched the back of his head. He told me how to do it. And I just put enough into them so I could move freely. But also, that I had to increase the weight over time. How heavy are they? Kurenai sighed. Naruto shrugged, and threw the piece he had on his right arm towards her. He had merely put a tiny amount of chakra in it. But because of the weight he miscalculated, making it land in front of her. Where it landed with a crash. Naruto, these must be at least 30 kilos each. Kurenai massaged her forehead, after lifting the weight. She made a mental note to scold the loud Jonin next time she would see him. Gai-sensei told me, I would improve quickly if put a lot of effort into it, Naruto shrugged. With chakra reinforcing his body, he didn't think that the weights meant too much. Though, they did slow him down a bit. And did he warn you not to overexert yourself? He might have, Naruto admitted sheepishly. But I was a little distracted after he told me how much bushy brows trained with. Compared to that, These things are freaking light. Kurenai sighed. Set them lower for now. You can increase the weight after our mission, but be a little more reasonable. 10 kilos each would be better for now, she added upon returning the weight to him. And Hinata, keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't pull anything like this again. Hinata blushed when Naruto looked at her. Yes, sensei, she squeaked. While Kiba had the obvious advantage before, but now Naruto had reduced his weights to a third, he could keep up easily. Quite the training method, Kiba admitted reluctantly. I wonder if I could get some of those weights as well. Sensei. You can, Kiba, but watch out not to overexert yourself. Naruto has the advantage in stamina, so you should probably be more careful not to get exhausted. Though I admit it would be a good way to increase your stamina and chakra reserves, even if this method is somewhat old-fashioned. Damn, Kiba thought. I'd almost start to understand why Hinata is so impressed by this guy, seems nothing like the Naruto from the academy. During the night, Naruto woke up. What the? He thought. Suddenly realizing what was going on, he woke up Kiba, whom he shared his tent with. Someone triggered the sentry seal, Naruto hissed. Wah! The sleepy Inuzuka responded, cursing when Naruto darted away. Damned bandit, he growled. Kiba was already annoyed that they hadn't been able to pick up a useful scent the day before. Naruto did not get the chance to wake up his other teammate and his sensei, as an explosion blew him off the moment he stepped out of his tent. Great, Naruto growled, slightly disoriented. His shirt scorched, though his pants were undamaged. He noticed that the intruder was running away. Hit and run. What a coward. Kurenai and Hinata woke up due to the explosion, and the moment they got out of their tent, they saw Naruto sprint away into the dark. And a somewhat scorched Kiba was sitting in the remains of his tent, Akamaru's head popping up from under the blanket he had been sleeping on. If not for the circumstances, Kiba's look would be priceless, Kurenai thought. Kiba, you and Hinata stay here, I'll go after Naruto, she ordered. Luckily, she had ordered her genin to sleep in their regular outfits, in case of nightly attacks. Naruto was jumping from tree to tree. Odd, the bandit was supposed to be an amateur, but he moves at the speed of a proper least genin, perhaps even chunin. And that attack was no bomb or paper tag, it was a Kaden ninjutsu. He frowned. Not that Naruto cared much. This new team was nicer to him than he had expected, but that did not change a thing about the pent-up rage he still felt inside him. And now it was time to unleash it. Finally. Dropping the weights, and using a little of the Kyuubi's chakra, Naruto sped up and easily caught up, only to be surprised. Mizuki cursed. For some reason, a group of shinobi was near the rendezvous point, and he had failed to notice their camp until it was too late. And one of them was already running out of a tent. A desperate attack, and running away, was the only thing Mizuki could come up with. Damn it. First that crazy order, and now this. What is wrong with me today? I just found out my minions lured the Kyuubi boy into my trap, a deformed man said, to the shadowy figure of the man he called leader. Do you want me to capture him? No, the silhouette answered pensively after a moment of silence. It is still too early for us to oppose Konoha. Besides, we have already set out plans for Konoha in motion. I do not want these plans to be disturbed just yet. We will deal with the Kyuubi when the time is right. As the shadowy figure dissolved, the deformed one grumbled. Guess that means my minions have to die. He wanted to capture a few shinobi, so he would have some new sleeper agents in Konoha. What initially seemed to be a stroke of luck had turned into the opposite. Kill Mizuki. Do not get caught, he ordered his tall, sword-wielding subordinate, who had waited outside the small cave. When Kurenai arrived, she saw Mizuki. The teacher struggle against his former student, trying to burn him with badly aimed fire jutsus. Die, you monster! The man screamed. Naruto laughed, amused by the man's fear, and allowed Mizuki to hit him with a fireball. If you know who I am, why bother with those little flames? I carry an incarnation of fire and destruction. I cannot be burned by your pathetic attacks. Finally he could get revenge on the teacher he hated most, and drag him back to Konoha. Whatever he had done, he just attacked Konoha shinobi, and that made him a traitor. The taunting caused Mizuki to lose all caution. Another wave of flames charged at Naruto. who was merely surprised by the stupidity of his former teacher. Naruto shrugged, and charged at the man, not even bothering to dodge the flames. What an idiot, Naruto said, as he threw his former teacher's unconscious body to the ground. All those big words about not losing yourself to your emotions during battle, and then you do this. Kurenai jumped down as a dark-haired man ran towards two others. She caught him in a genjutsu, but was too late to stop him from throwing the blade he carried. Naruto dodged, just in time, but realized that had been the swordsman's intention, as he looked back at the now-dead body of Mizuki. Crap, Naruto grimaced. Kurenai wondered if the boy regretted that the man had died, or that he regretted that someone else had stolen his prey. She had seen his expression just now, and it was more feral than human. The misshapen man looked on from a distance. Damn. The woman had knocked out his subordinate, seemingly by using a genjutsu. The other two shinobi were at their camp, but he could not attack them now, not without having the other two notice it. And the element of surprise was also not his, as he had noticed one of them was a Hyuga. At least they caught the idiot, he grumbled, and not the spy. Let them have their fun with interrogations, they won't find much. Still, he somewhat regretted that Mizuki had to die. Though he had outlived his usefulness as a spy with his failure attempt to steal scrolls from the Hokage's office, the man had some talent, but more importantly he had a lot of useful intel on Konoha's next generation of shinobi. He sighed. What a waste. Mission failed. Though at least leader can't blame me, he was the one who caused it. Stashing both fallen opponents in a scroll, Kurenai took Naruto back to the camp. Don't ever walk away on your own again, she scolded him. It could have been a trap. Naruto shrugged. I'm already trapped, so who cares? Those two wouldn't have been able to stop me anyway. Mizuki was a chunin, and even though he had taken the job of teaching at the academy, he got his rank for good reasons. Yeah, I know. But I trust Kakashi-sensei and Jisun told you who I am, Naruto answered dryly. Who cares how strong he was? He was merely a human, anyway. Having access to the demon's chakra maybe makes you more powerful than any other genin, but you are not invulnerable. You can't just jump in, like you seek death. Naruto's indifferent look silenced her. Sensei, I am not stupid enough to not notice its influence. Death is not the worst thing that could happen to me. At least with my death I would take the Kyuubi down with me. And you told me you wanted to become Hokage. Kurenai retorted sharply. Naruto blinked. Yeah, never mind becoming Hokage, with that attitude you are hardly fit to lead a team of genin. What if you died, how do you think your team would do? If you carelessly risk your life, you can also take your teammates down with you. Naruto frowned, not expecting such an answer. But you. No, Naruto. I may have been here right now, but you will not always have a jonin with you while on a mission. Do you care about your teammates? Yes, I guess. Naruto frowned, not expecting Kurenai to be this agitated. Then value your own life. Kurenai exclaimed. Do it for them, if you cannot find another reason. And think about this. Do you believe that the Hokage would carelessly throw away his life? He represents all of Konoha. I've seen what happened to the village after the fourth died, it was a complete chaos. The Hokage is the strong symbol under which the clans of Konoha unite, Naruto. Without the Hokage the village would fall apart again. So I should not take risks. I didn't say that, Kurenai sighed. But you should not be careless either. You are a part of Team 8, if you would be hurt we would not function as well as we should. You cannot operate on your own, Naruto. Not while being in a team. And if you truly want to become Hokage, you should understand that a Hokage is someone who works together with all the shinobi of Konoha. Can you promise me to take your role in the team more seriously? What? Naruto blinked. You actually want me to be part of this team? Despite being what I am. Of course. Kurenai said decidedly. I meant what I said earlier. Your own strength is a great asset to our team. I truly believe you could become Hokage if you have the right mentality. Despite all the resistance it will cause, there will soon be a time when no one can deny your strength. She saw that Naruto remained silent, with an oddly grim expression on his face. But no one can do it all on their own, she said kindly. No human can live entirely alone. Sensei, Naruto started pensively. He remained silent for a bit, and Kurenai wondered what the strange expression on his face mean. It wasn't confusion, nor anger. Disbelief. Do you think, would you say that I am a human? He finally continued. Of course you are human, Naruto. Why would you ever? I know the Kyuubi's influence changes me, Naruto admitted his doubts. But, if the demon changes me, could I still be a human if I chose to be? Naruto looked up into the dark sky. Though, perhaps it doesn't even really matter what I am. Human, animal, monster, or demon. Naruto. I cannot say what influence the demon's chakra on you is, but I see a normal human being, burdened with a terrible seal. If anything, I'd say you are exceptionally skilled for someone of your age. Kurenai decided some praise would be at place right now. Maybe the Kyuubi could have a positive effect as well. Besides, you are in control, right? Kurenai smiled gently. I am, Naruto admitted hesitantly. But what if? Any person is capable of both good and evil. No one is born evil, Kurenai lectured him. It are your choices that define what you want to be. But I believe that the Naruto that I have seen up till now would never give in, no matter what people would throw at him. I suppose, Naruto replied absently. It doesn't matter what I am. Nothing is inherently evil, it's almost like what the Kyuubi himself said. Perhaps it didn't try to trick me that time. Perhaps one day, I could deal with the hatred of the Kyuubi, Naruto sighed. And if Kurenai-sensei is willing to believe in me, maybe I should give that teamwork stuff a chance. Kurenai looked at the boy next to her. Though he was absorbed by his thoughts, he seemed to look less bitter than he usually did. She decided he would need time, in which she hoped he would start to focus on teamwork. First, she needed to figure out what just happened. A rogue teacher who just died, and the mysterious swordsman they had captured. What was the connection? Hyuga and Hinata had their guard up when their sensei and teammate reappeared. His grim look almost scared Hinata, but she saw her sensei followed closely. The pale look on her teacher's face surprised the girl. Kurenai-sensei. Naruto-kun, is everything all right? Yes, Hanata. We just caught the bandit, and have the body of our attacker as well. She paused for a moment. Let's break up camp and head back, we need to report this. Hyuga shrugged, looking behind him. Fine with me, not like I'll sleep comfortably anyway. With Hanata and Naruto packing things together, Kurenai healed the minor burns Hyuga had suffered from the explosion. So what happened exactly, sensei? I don't really know, Hyuga, she sighed. Things don't really add up. I'll have the torture and interrogation unit take a look at these two, the Hokage said to Team 8, after hearing their Jonin's report. Mizuki fled Konoha because he tried to steal something from my office. It sounds like me he planned to take whatever he wanted to steal to the bandit, though I wonder why the latter would attack villagers and attract attention like this. It would seem that there was someone else pulling the strings. Hiruzen stood up from his chair, and wanted to continue talking but was interrupted when a man with dark glasses charged in. I see you lost my grandson again, Ebisu. The old man sighed. The other man looked embarrassed. Yes, Hokage-sama. He was charging this way, so I had assumed. I see you lost the ability to knock on the door as well. Hiruzen remarked sharply. Team 8, I think I have a mission for you tomorrow. You will look after my grandson for a day, which will give Ebisu the time he needs to get a lecture in etiquette and proper behavior. Ebisu paled, bowed, and then left. Kurenai frowned. I apologize, Hokage same, but your team has done well, Kurenai. I had planned to give you a few days off, but I guess tomorrow's mission will be important as well. If I left my grandson alone, he will probably manage to somehow destroy my office. Again. Look after Konohamaru. An entire day. Naruto paled a little. Yes, you'll report at 9 at the Sarutobi compound. Outside the building, Kurenai left her genin, stating she had other business. The three walked together in silence for a little while. I guess I need to thank you, Naruto. Hyuga suddenly spoke up. Why? What for? That explosion. I saw you block it, while you could have dodged. Naruto looked a little embarrassed as Hyuga spoke. You risked yourself to save me. And I haven't been exactly nice either. So, I guess I need to say thanks. And, the young Inuzuka coughed a bit. And I apologize for my behavior. Naruto shrugged. We're a team, right? He said a little awkwardly. He did not want to admit that it had just been that he had not cared enough about the attack to dodge it. It wasn't like a little bit of fire could hurt him, after all. You didn't exactly act like a team person, Kiba frowned. Guess I was wrong, he added, upon noticing Hinata's sudden glare. You were, Hinata added pointedly. No, not really, Hinata-sama, Naruto laughed. But not many people treated me as a team member either. I guess I still needed some time to get used to it. Next time I'll dodge it, he smirked, taunting Kiba. So, what's the deal with this Konohamaru kid? Kiba asks. Oh, he's the Hokage's grandson, but he's a bit of a pain in the ass if you ask me, Naruto shrugged. Seen him several times, when he tried to ambush the old man. Not that he ever had much success. Why would he do such a thing? Hanata dared to ask. Naruto frowned. Don't know. I thought it was some kind of game at first, but Konohamaru seems to take it quite seriously. Though I reckon it would be a great way of training as well. But I guess you two can track him down easy enough if he tries to slip away tomorrow. Anyway, I saved your ass, Kiba. Next time it's your turn to rescue mine, Naruto smirked, before jumping off. You shouldn't be too hard on Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she watched him jump away. He lives at the Hyuga estate, but does not have many friends, neither in nor outside the estate. He was always a silent oddball at the academy, Kiba agreed. I thought he didn't want any contact with others, a bit like how I thought Shino was. No, worse. People disliked Shino because of his bugs, but Naruto, people just hated him and no one told us why. Do you believe he deserves to be hated, Kiba-kun? Hinata asks, somewhat afraid of the answer. No, he just saved me and Akamaru, and he always acted friendly even though I wasn't. Kiba frowned. Whatever he hides, I doubt he intends to hurt us. Kurenai-sensei seems to trust him, so I don't know why I shouldn't. Hell, I could almost understand why you like him so much. Akamaru barked. Yeah, despite his smell, Kiba frowned. Smell? Hinata asks, trying not to blush too much after Kiba's previous remark. Yes, his chakra, at times, it smells strange. Wild, and extremely dangerous. Perhaps it is some odd kind of keke genke. I'll ask Mum, maybe she knows. See you tomorrow, Hinata, he added, taking the turn towards his own house. Chapter 11. Konohamaru. Hinata planned to quickly grab some breakfast next morning, but was halted by her father. Hinata, I heard your team completed a C rank mission. Ah, why yes, father, Hinata stuttered, not comfortable under her father's dismissive gaze. How much did you contribute to the success of the mission? Naruto-kun captured the criminals. I heard one of your former teachers was involved, Hiyashi nodded. So you did not contribute to the success of this mission? No, father, Hinata looked down and wished she could disappear from this place. I don't need to remind you that there are certain expectations when the heir of the Hyuga clan goes out on a mission. Hiyashi kept his face impassive, but his voice went slightly colder. No, father, Hinata shrunk down. I promise to do better next mission. If you wish to maintain your position as heir, you will have to prove your ability, Hiyashi concluded, before turning to leave the room. The encounter with her father left Hinata in a somber mood. Perhaps Naruto-kun has not left yet. We could walk to the Sarutobi estate together. She tried to tear herself away from her own depressed state. Standing in front of the door of Naruto's cottage, Hinata began to doubt herself. Again. Maybe I should not. Naruto prefers to be alone. No. I promised Haruki-san, and mother, she thought. I'm already gone. Naruto's voice sounded up from behind her, before Hinata could knock. As if being stung, Hinata twisted around, and saw a frowning Naruto with his hands covered in mud. Naruto-kun, what do you mean? I said I already went out, my original body that is. I'm just a clone I left behind to do the garden, the clone smirked. Which is more fun than chasing after some brat? Would you shut up and work? An annoyed voice sounded. Oh, hey Hinata-sama, the other Naruto added after loudly opening a window. I'm trying to focus here, he continued scolding the other clone. 2. T2 Naruto-kuns. You'll get used to it soon enough, she added smugly. Naruto, Ako-sama asked me if you could help her with the shopping this morning. Fine, the garden Naruto grumbled. After the window Naruto pointed at him. But that means you do the laundry. Rather some dirty clothes than the hell they call shopping, the window Naruto grumbled. The window Naruto nodded goodbye to Hinata before he closed the said window and continued with whatever he had been doing. Naruto usually leaves clones behind, she explained, seeing the puzzled look on Hinata's face. To help Ako-sama and the sickly two-leg, or to speed up his studies. So the real Naruto-kun already left, a few hours ago. He wanted to train. Or he simply wanted some time alone. He was rather distant yesterday, the cat said with a pensive tone. He'll probably drop by at the Ichiraku stand where you two legs seem to eat. She looked around, as if she was thinking what to do. Know what? I'll join you for today. Ako-sama is busy shopping anyway, and I'm rather bored with those two clones right here. Especially when they start to run out of chakra. Then they start to act annoying. Spoiled creature. The garden Naruto grumbled. I'll probably be there, but you two should hurry if you don't want to be late. Oh okay, Naruto-kun, Hinata bowed slightly before she left. She looked at her pensively. I thought the two legs from the main family weren't supposed to bow to others. She remarked as they speeded towards Ichiraku's. Hinata didn't know what to say. Sorry, don't be. I'm glad you're not an overly proud airhead like the rest of your family, she chuckled. Though Queen Two-Leg is an exception. You resemble her quite a lot, and not just in appearance. Naruto said his goodbye to the best ramen chef of Konoha, and walked out toward the Sarutobi complex. And now an entire day trying to look after that brat, Naruto sighed. Should have sent out a clone, and focused on my scrolls instead. Those new notes on the infernal seal I found yesterday looked quite promising. Hinata. The boy frowned as they ran towards him. You're too early, Two-Leg, the cat remarked as she jumped up on his shoulder. Her long tail draped around his shoulder and neck so she maintained her balance. Princess White-Eye Two-Leg wanted to see you, so I thought I'd join you for now. Should be more amusing than seeing that clone of yours enjoying himself in the garden. Hinata. What's going on? Naruto asked curiously. Nothing. Hinata stuttered. Just wanted to ask if you would mind if I walked to the Sarutobi complex with you. Naruto was glad his hearing was better than that of most others, or he would not have heard those last few words that Hinata had nearly whispered. Of course I wouldn't mind, Naruto smiled. Though, we're almost there already. Hinata looked downcast. But we're still early. I was a bit too early at Ichiraku's, Naruto admitted. I got hungry from all the training. Why you always go out training? That early? Not always, but I woke up early so I thought I could just as well spend my time wisely, right? Because of Mizuki-sensei. Hinata guessed. I can't say I ever liked that guy. Not that I wanted him to die. But he was a traitor to Konoha, so I can't say I'm bothered by his death either, Naruto shrugged. So why did you sleep that bad? She asked almost innocently. But her acting was not good enough to fool Naruto, who had gotten used to her pranking. Bad milk, he replied, looking at the cat. I keep asking you not to mess up the fridge. Just ask if you want something to drink, rather than leaving a mess each time. I can't help it that it has such a poorly designed closing mechanism, the cat defended herself. Naruto smirked. Despite the mischievous nature of the cat, she was rather easy to fool because she was equally touchy. Well, I told you yesterday, we have to look after Konohamaru today, he aimed at the cat. So nothing exciting. Unless he gets another of his fits and tries to assault Jisun again. It seemed like you thought Konohamaru-chan was rather difficult to handle, Hanata remarked. He is, Naruto sighed. You'll see soon enough. When they all arrived at the entrance of the estate of the Sarutobi clan, Kurenai announced herself and her team, and stated their mission. A robust-looking older woman came to them and led them to the waiting room, stating that she would get the honorable grandson to them as soon as possible. Not that she seemed to have much success, as she quickly returned with a panicked look on her face. Konohamaru-chan has run off, she said, while out of breath. Do you have any idea where he might have gone? Kurenai asks. What little color she had left also vanished as the old woman paled. He will probably be at the Hokage's office, sneaking towards his grandfather again. Can you lead Kiba to his room? Kurenai asks. Kiba, Akamaru, you two follow her and get Konohamaru-chan's scent. We will wait at the entrance, she ordered. Kiba sighed. This will be a long day. From what Asuma-san told me, Konohamaru-kun is a bit like Naruto when he was younger. Too much energy for his own good, too little time to consider the consequences of whatever he does. I've read the reports, she smiled at the mildly annoyed blonde. Hanata giggled, remembering the trouble Haruki had gone through when the unruly Naruto first lived at the estate. Teaching him proper etiquette had proven to be a nigh impossible task. Did you meet Asuma again, sensei? Naruto smirked. Kurenai chose not to answer, though Hinata noticed the faint smile that betrayed her. He must be around here, Kiba said after they had gone to the edge of the village. Right, Naruto said, performing the hand seals needed for Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and sending out 24 clones to scout the area. There are too many people around, Hinata apologizing to her sensei. Yeah, this place stinks, Kiba groaned. Getting a good scent at this place as though. The old market square was not the wealthiest place in Konoha, so most of the merchants sold second-rate goods. Goods which attracted a clientele who had less money to spend. Naruto vaguely remembered the place from before he started living with the Hyuga, but the other two genin had probably never seen the place, as they were members of prominent clans. And those who enjoyed the protection of their clan would not have to go to places like this, which was more or less reserved for the clanless. Though Konoha had a reputation that it did not have as much discrimination against the clanless, this was a place which showed otherwise. After all, in the ninja world, bloodlines were everything. Those born into clans with such bloodlines usually saw the others as inferior. Naruto knew that people like Lee or Sakura were more or less considered as second-rate ninja, because they were born in clans which hardly had any importance at all. On the other hand, they still faced less prejudice than someone like Tenten, who was clanless. Naruto, though from a formerly prominent clan, was little more than clanless simply because he was the last of his clan. Not that people looked at Sasuke in the same way. It should not be about birthrights, but about the people themselves. Tenten, for instance, was one of the best kunoichi Naruto knew, so why should she be considered less than someone like Ino or Hinata, just because they were born into prominent clans? Why did someone like Tenten always have to work so much harder to get similar recognition? Inequality. Naruto hated that trait in humans. So what's a brat like you doing here? The second largest of the kids asked the little boy. I was just looking around. One of those spoiled boys from the high and mighty clans looking at the poor folk. The largest boy mocked. No, and give me my scarf back. The smallest boy shouted. Or what? The only girl in the group smirked. You're gonna tell daddy, and he'll send the Anbu to punish us. Maybe we should just dispose of him, the most anxious-looking boy added. That way he can't rat on us either. And I bet he has some valuables on him as well, even though he's a brat. Good thinking, Buckteeth, the largest boy replied to the anxious Buckteeth. A clan won't save you from this, will it? He smirked, pulling out a large knife. What the hell do you guys think you're doing? A calm voice shook them up. Who the hell are you? The large boy frowned. Wanna die too? I know him, Buckteeth said. But that's years ago. The orphanage's mother called him a monster. And a shinobi, the girl exclaimed, seeing his headband, immediately deciding to run away. The other followed her cowardly example, except for the largest boy. Who cares? It's not like you're. The boy started, before knocked into the nearby wall. Idiot, Naruto whispered, wiping the boy's blood of his fist. Now, Konohamaru, damn it. Naruto cursed after he noticed the brat had slipped away in the middle of the confusion. He went that way. Naruto spoke up, startling his teammates. Some of the local kids threatened him. My clone interfered but he ran anyway. My other clones are tracking him down right now. This way, Naruto jumped away. In the end, one clone found the boy, who was sitting on top of a fallen tree, near the edge of the village. Who are you? The boy demanded. They had seen each other a few times, but Konohamaru had no idea who he was. A clone, the clone answered. What? He is a clone, the original Naruto said, jumping down. And I am Uzumaki Naruto. And you are a brat who is pretty hard to find. Why are you here? Go bother someone else. Noticing the downcast look on the boy's face, Naruto decided to sit next to him. Because you're not supposed to wander around alone. Konohamaru looked at him defiantly. I'll do what I want. I saw that, Naruto replied dryly. Those kids surely let you do whatever you wanted, fool. You. Why? The boy was too frustrated to speak properly. Konohamaru, you shouldn't run away like this. There are too many people who care about you, he explained. Peef. They don't care about me. All they care about is grandpa. I'm just the honorable grandson. I wouldn't be anybody if I wasn't born in the right family. Naruto smacked him on the head. Stupid. It makes you a target as well. That old woman at the estate had tears in her eyes because of worry. She cared. And I heard the way your grandpa talks about you. I grew up in orphanages, surrounded by people who wouldn't care whether you lived or died, so don't complain to me, you brat. Konohamaru looked a little ashamed now. Still, I wanted that people to see me as me, not as the Hokage's grandson, he said shyly. So you hate living in his shadow? Naruto said, waiting for Konohamaru to nod. Then why waste your time on running away, or on those pranks you pull on the old man? Start training. If you want to be recognized as you, become so strong that people can't get around it. I know. I want to be Hokage, that's why I try to beat Grandpa. If I beat him, becoming Hokage will be easy. Ow! Konohamaru exclaimed, after Naruto smacked him again. Why did you do that? Becoming strong, becoming Hokage. Do you think it is that easy to reach such goals? Do you think anyone would follow you as you are now? Ordinary people who risk nothing will never reach as high as a Hokage. It will take a lot of effort and suffering. How many obstacles did your grandfather face before people recognized him? Naruto smiled. Besides, if you want to become Hokage, you'll need to beat me first. Konohamaru looked up and suddenly recognized the other boy as his rival, and grinned. I'll beat you in an instant. He yelled. Kurenai was a little surprised at Naruto's use of the Shunshin no Jutsu, which he had used to get to Konohamaru. Though a relatively simple skill, and taught at the academy, genin usually were not able to cross much distance with it. When she and the other students caught up, they saw the two boys duel. Well, duel. This is more fun than with Ebisu, Konohamaru cheered. Despite being outmatched with every move he made, he grinned at his rival. Taking an exaggerated jump, Konohamaru tried to hit Naruto again. His clothes only became dirtier, after Naruto had dodged and Konohamaru was left in the dirt. What are you two doing? Kurenai asked sharply. Hanata smiled at the sight, but Kiba was somewhat conflicted. Scowl or laugh? She just looked at the situation and thought that humans were idiotic creatures. Very idiotic. Konohamaru here wants to be Hokage, but he can't unless he beats me, Naruto smirked, blocking a strike while his rival presumed he was not paying attention. Kiba decided. He laughed. Man, this will be a damn long day. If the kid wants to be Hokage, then he'll need to beat me as well. Two rivals. Naruto sighed. 5 clones jumped down on Kiba, leaving the Inuzuka in the dust. Konohamaru did better. Kiba. He taunted the Inuzuka. Kurenai looked on, her brows raised, as the 3 boys, the additional clones, and 1 dog, continued to fool around. Standing next to her, Hanata smiled happily. Some rest and relaxation will also improve teamwork, I guess, Kurenai thought, pitching the bridge of her nose. Now I understand Asuma's stories about this kid. Another Naruto jumped down next to her. I informed the old lady we found Konohamaru, the clone said, before jumping into the fray with a big smile. Something which was no fair, according to the youngest boy. She sighed in defeat. All that work to finally become a Jonin sensei, and then she gets a mission like this. Then she saw another Naruto sitting high in a tree, keeping a watchful eye on the environment. You're a clone as well. Kurenai asks, impressed. Yup, why? You. Normally clones aren't very intelligent, unless, Kurenai's eyes widened. Completely autonomous Kage Bunshins required Jonin level chakra levels, and Naruto spawned them seemingly effortlessly. Up till now she had just assumed that he just put less chakra in them, which reduced their intelligence and skill, yet allowing him to create more clones. But each of these clones seemed to be a perfect copy of the original Naruto. Dear Kami, and he can create them by the dozens. I doubt even Hokage-sama could do something like this. It took another hour for them to get Konohamaru exhausted. Naruto sent out a few clones to gather food, Ichiraku's ramen, Hinata presumed. She could see it today. Normally Naruto's chakra seemed a bit dimmed, but when he was truly happy, it was like he radiated. With his enormous chakra, he seemed like the sun. Glowing with a light and warmth, unlike any other shinobi. How could he have been if he didn't have his burden? You all right, Hanata? He asked her, seeing her pensive look. Yeah, I am just enjoying this day. The girl smiled, but Naruto saw that something was bothering her. Good. You always worry about others, now you finally have to relax. Hiba was first to return, bringing along all he thought was necessary for a picnic. Eating outdoors like this was another new experience for the scion of the main family. Hanata had been right, as the Narutos brought along a variation of ramen. With Chi sleeping on his lap, Konohamaru was entertained by Kurenai's telling stories of when she was genin. Something which the others enjoyed just as much. Turned out, young Azuma had been quite the rebel himself as well, something which enjoyed Konohamaru more than anything. Thanks, he smiled widely. Now I can finally take a little revenge on Uncle Smokey. Boss. Konohamaru asked Naruto when the two of them were at some distance from the others. Why did you help me? With those bullies, I mean. Boss. Naruto blinked. The little boy nodded, and waited for Naruto to answer. You were my mission, Naruto shrugged. Besides, it would not have mattered. I despise bullies, so I would have helped you anyway. Why? Why did they call you a monster, boss? Konohamaru asked curiously. Hanata, who just walked towards them, froze. Naruto frowned. Probably because I'm a shinobi. Ordinary people are often jealous of us, right, Hanata? I guess. Hanata blushed mildly. But from what you told earlier, I think it is more because they were clanless. What's that? Ne-chan. People who do not belong to a clan, Konohamaru-chan, Hanata explained. Many treat them as second-rate citizens, Naruto added darkly. This only causes them to equally hate those of the clans in return. Why? Konohamaru seemed confused. Because they feel like the position in which they were born defines their life, Naruto smiled gently. You should understand this, right? You're always treated well because of your heritage, while the clanless get the reverse treatment. This seemed to sober Konohamaru up. Why would Jichin? The Hokage tries to unite the clans, but he can't force people to change either, Naruto shrugged. But when one of us becomes Hokage, we can continue the old man's good example, right? Right. Konohamaru smiled. When Hinata looked at both boys, she somehow knew that Naruto could make his dream come true. Despite his burden. Despite the village. If anyone could endure, it would be Naruto. Chapter 12. Truth. At the end of the day, Team 8 brought Konohamaru back to the Sarutobi estate, and returned to their respective homes, tired but content. As the two of them came close to the estate, Hinata tried to suppress the urge to fidget. Seems like you made a friend today, Naruto-kun. I suppose, he shrugged. Why you don't think that? Konohamaru just reminded me of my old self, seeking acknowledgement but not knowing how. While speaking, the pensive undertone returned to his voice. I suppose you too understand what it is, having people look at the image of what they think you are. What they think you should be. Rather than who you really are. Hinata looked down. Her fingers now fidgeted again, though she could not remember when she had lost control of them. I'm sorry, Hinata, Naruto sighed, regretting he even said such a thing. I didn't mean to bring up. He sighed again. I know, Naruto-kun, she replied, before stuttering. But why? Why do people hate you? Naruto froze, his eyes turned sad. She looked at the girl and seemed to hesitate between anger and curiosity. We warned White-Eye Two-Leg that she shouldn't be this direct. Why? I mean, I know why people don't like me, and I can understand, but you shouldn't. Don't talk about yourself like that. Ever, he said firmly. So what if people expect you to be the perfect heir? You or you. And there is nothing wrong with you. Naruto sighed. But my case. Well, you could say that I am different from every else. It took her a moment to muster the courage to look at him again. When she did, she noticed he sat down on a nearby bench. You are not different, she said softly, looking at him. He sighed, and looked around. But I am different from other humans. More than anyone would suspect, he chuckled, humorlessly. It is merely a fact that no other shinobi in Konoha is like me. Let me ask you. When we met Sakura the other day, did you notice how she looked when she saw me? Hinata nodded. She saw what I could do. What I am. Two-leg. She decided to warn him. You shouldn't. No chi. Naruto sighed. With her eyes, Hinata has probably already seen my defect. That Byakugan can see through any superficial lie. And I might as well get this over with. There is no point in continuing this lie any longer. What did what did Sakura-san? Naruto formed some quick hand seals, and activated a jutsu which made it impossible for other to eavesdrop. Or even see them. It was a useful thing he had learned from Jiraiya once, even though it was only restricted to a small area, and made movement virtually impossible. Ideal for the spying activities Jiraiya often used it for. After all, his research was rather dangerous if he would get caught. Kurenai-sensei did not tell you and Kiba what I did during my mission in the Land of Waves. Naruto started. Hinata shivered when she saw his cold blue eyes. As if every emotion in his face had frozen. A large number of mercenaries attacked the town and I annihilated them. I tore them apart, limb from limb, I ripped the heart out of their boss's chest. Naruto sighed. Sakura simply saw the truth. She saw the monster I am. You are not a monster. Naruto-kun, she said as firmly as she could, sitting down next to him. Why you only did that because you wanted to save the village. You are no monster. Ask Konohamaru. Ask me. Ask the people in that village. You saved so many lives. A monster would not care about others like you do. Do you want to know the truth? Naruto asked cautiously. He had never trusted anyone before, but if he had to tell anyone. She tensed as Hinata nodded. I'll understand if you fear me. Or hate me, when you learn the truth, Naruto said, though Hinata saw a slight grimace on his face hinting the opposite of what he said. When you see me, with your Byakugan, you see two kinds of chakra, right? Yes, one is my own, he cut her off, the other is. The other source is the result of something the Yondaime Hokage did to me, when I was a baby. She held her breath, even though she already knew. There is a secret kept by everyone in Konoha, the Yondaime could not destroy the Kyuubi. He could only seal it away, so it could not hurt others again. Not for a while, at least, Naruto spoke softly, with a nearly emotionless tone, while looking at the ground. That is why the people fear and hate me. They fear the day I lose control, and the seal which that man cursed me with breaks, and I become the Kyuubi myself. Or that I simply unleash the demon because I want to. That's impossible. You're not. Why you would never. They are half right, Hinata. Naruto interrupted her with sad tone. I can feel it, hear its voice, draw onto its chakra, and it changes me. I sense the evil in others, and fire hardly damages me. And why do you think I have an affinity for two nature types? Futon is my own, while Kaden is derived from the Kyuubi. Hinata didn't know what to say. She saw the deep sadness on his face. He looked so lost, so vulnerable. In a moment of boldness she forgot her shyness, only thinking of his pain, and hugged him. Naruto froze. What is she doing? Why doesn't she run away? Shout at me. Or at least look shocked or afraid. Did she know? Or does she not care? Even Chi, who had remained silent because she had decided to trust Naruto's judgment despite her own reservations, sighed in relief. She knew this situation could have ended badly. She knew that rejection from this girl would have hit Naruto much harder. You're not scared, he asks, though her heart cringed when she heard him almost begging her not to be scared. No, of course not. I know you, Naruto, you would not hurt anyone. I would never be scared of you, Hinata spoke with more strength than Naruto had ever heard before. Lo. Suddenly realizing what she was doing, what she was almost going to say, she squeaked and let him go. Why? Why would you have so much faith in me? Naruto's mind seemed unable to process the situation. Why you saved me? You're always kind. Despite the way people treat you. Your strength. I know how hard it is to keep yourself together, she tried to explain. But you always endured. You never gave up. No matter how badly people treated you. No matter how many times pushed you over. No matter how many times you fell, you always stood up again. I think that is true strength. Naruto looked at her, impressed and deeply surprised that anyone would call him, the monster of Konoha, an example of strength. Even Chi was surprised, which was quite a feat considering the cynicism of the creature. Hanata blushed under the gaze of both the boy and the cat. I remember you fainting when you gave me something to eat, he said slowly. And now you don't even give a budge after hearing that the world's most dangerous monster is next to you. You even managed to speak like some kind of philosopher. I should have realized earlier you were a strange girl, he smiled. Hinata looked distraught at his poor attempt of a compliment, and backed away a little. I mean, it's good that you're not like the others, right? I didn't mean to say you are strange, but unusual. No. Naruto sheepishly tried to correct himself, putting a hand on her shoulder. I mean, you're a great person and. Well, shit. And now she did faint. Me and my big mouth. Naruto facepalmed. You've got a lot to learn about how you need to act when being around a female, she retorted smugly. Shall we bring the young Hyuga back? Why would people? Naruto still did not understand Hinata's behavior. You'll learn eventually. She smirked knowingly, amused by the clueless blonde. As smart as he may be, he truly has a blind heart. But what could anyone expect of someone living a life like his? It turned out that Team 8 had gotten another day off after the whole mission with Konohamaru, giving Naruto the time to make up for the chores he had been forced to neglect due to the previous missions. As well giving him some time to think. He hadn't spoken to Hinata again, as she was dragged off by her father for remedial training, or so Hitomi had told him. She did not seem to be very happy about it, though she seemed kinder than usual to him. Perhaps she knew about the conversation he had with Hinata. It would not surprise him, seeing how she always seemed to know everything. When he was younger, he was both amazed and scared by her ability to see right through him. But now he understood what kind of person she really was. Thinking back about the conversation with Hinata still made Naruto a little confused. Hinata knew about him, yet did not reject him. It was odd. Though Chi's amusement only added to Naruto's confusion. Perhaps this was what others meant with friends. But why did friendship feel so weird? So far, Naruto only had a handful of people whom he considered to be friendly. He had to name them. He would think off the old man Hokage, Jiraiya, and Haruki. These three were all way older and had experienced the Kyuubi, yet did not blame him. Even though Haruki openly admitted to Naruto that he was afraid of the demon. No, they knew well who he was, and ignored the fact that he had the demon sealed within him. Beyond them, he thought of Akko as a friend, almost like an elder sister type to him, though she was a special case. The circumstances in which he had met Chi were equally strange, though he fully trusted the feline and knew she returned that feeling. Beyond them there was perhaps Iruka. Naruto's former sensei was one of the precious few who treated him well, and even treated him on ramen a few times. Then there were those like Tsuki and Ayame from Ichiraku's, who always acted friendly to Naruto, though they were probably unaware of the truth about what he was. I'd guess I could put Shikamaru and Choji in the same group. And after what happened, maybe Konohamaru and Kiba as well. But she is strange indeed, he mused, atop his favorite branch in the forbidden training area, while fidgeting with the rubber ball he was supposed to pop. I once thought she avoided me because she hated me, or that she was afraid of me. Then she ordered me to stay, and now this, it makes no sense. Why would she? Girl troubles already. A familiar voice asks. Whoa, watch it brat. Jiraiya laughed after dodging the rubber ball that the startled Naruto just threw out of reflex. Wah, how did you get here? Naruto acts in surprise, staring at the white-haired toad sage. Wherever there are troubles with girls, I just happen to be close, Jiraiya answered smugly. It's my job. I got a good nose for research, kiddo. Naruto made Jiraiya dodge again. It's not like that. Ooh, Jiraiya said, grinning as he mocked Naruto. That. You're thinking about that already, is it that serious? Perhaps I should borrow you a few of my quality books, if you mature this fast. You could learn a thing or two from good literature. Ah, just shut it, you pervert, Naruto retorted. Super pervert, Jiraiya corrected him dryly. Don't want to compare your ordinary pervert to someone like me, do you? You are as crazy as ever, Naruto finally said, after they finished laughing. It's been too long, when did you come back? Yeah, my mission got a little extended unfortunately, Jiraiya said, with a hint of seriousness. The old man wanted me back earlier, but I couldn't hurry when I saw such interesting research material on my way back. Hot springs. Hot springs, Jiraiya laughed. That stealth seal of yours truly is useful. He added with a lecherous tone. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I have to go now. The old man needs to hear my report right away, or he'll kill me. I'll see you tomorrow, the perverted sage added before vanishing in a puff of smoke. I got a mission tomorrow, you old fool, Naruto smiled. Guess I'll have to leave a clone behind. Chapter 13. Uzumaki Ruins. Good morning Team 8, the Hokage started, after the said team entered his office. He gestured the guards that they had to close the doors. Your new mission for you will probably be an extended one again. Another C rank. Hyuga asked hopefully, leaving the infamous, puppy eye, jutsu for Akamaru to execute. Hiruzen frowned. This mission has actually not been ranked. It could be considered C rank, but also might turn out to be an A rank. It's a bit of a special case. Hokage-sama, Kurenai interjected. You should be aware that Team 8 is not yet prepared to face the more difficult missions, all three need more. I know, Kurenai, he cut her off. And I am not asking the four of you to do this mission on your own. Team 8 will act as support for someone else. In fact, your team was requested to assist him due to the unique nature of the problem. He gestured them to sit down on the chairs in front of his desk. Putting on his pipe, followed by blowing out a little cloud of smoke, he continued talking to the now rather curious team. What I am about to tell you is considered to be classified information, so treat as such. Several years ago, a few of our Jonin stumbled upon the remains of what we think had been a temple of the Uzumaki clan. Yes, Naruto, he said, answering the genin's surprised look before he could even ask. Strange enough, the temple is located far outside Uzushiogakure, near the western border of the country of fire. If it was found so long ago, why is it now our mission? Kurenai asks. The temple was sealed. The outer barriers were taken down, but the inner barriers and whatever remained inside, remained out of our reach. None of the shinobi from Konoha were able to breach those last barriers. And because we had no idea of what the temple contained, we decided to cover it up, and waited for you to grow up, Naruto. There are indications that only an Uzumaki might be able to pass that inner barrier. Naruto shrugged. Sounds rather weird, but I don't mind trying. But why now? Kurenai frowned. This could potentially be very dangerous, why not wait? Because we suspect that there is someone who is looking for the location of the temple. Hiruzen admitted. Hokage-sama, wouldn't that make the mission even more dangerous? Hanata stuttered. The Hokage shook his head in denial. Like I said, you will act as support. Your contact will wait for you by the gates, at 11. Though it might be possible he shows up late, he probably can be found in one of the clubs near the shopping district. He will guide you and explain the details of the mission, good luck. 2.5 hours later, Team 8 was waiting near the gates of Konoha. All had packed for a journey of several days, but their guide had yet to show up. This feels like Kakashi all over again, Naruto sighed. I'll go fetch him. I'm not waiting any longer. Naruto. Where are you going? Kurenai asked him. Well, there's only so many experts on seals and barriers in Konoha. We know it's a man, and we know where he resides, a club near in the red light sector. So, I already know who I have to look for. He turned towards Hinata. Though, I guess you could help me, Hinata, if you don't mind. I'll leave a clone behind in case he does show up, he added after the girl nodded with a slight blush. As the two ran off, Naruto decided to warn Hinata. We're looking for a tall man, with long spiky white hair. He possesses a huge amount of chakra, at least as much as the Hokage himself, so he shouldn't be hard to miss with your Byakugan. But, knowing him, we might find him in some kind of compromising situation. Well, compromising for normal standards, he is arguably the greatest pervert alive, so he wouldn't mind. Naruto suspected that Jiraiya had just spent the entire night drinking all the sake he could find, while probably surrounding with some of the most expensive women he could get with his money, so though locating him would be relatively easy, getting him to move would probably be a bigger issue. Though this might be a good moment to use my secret weapon against him. UGHH. Stop knocking on the damn door, Jiraiya grumbled, damned hangovers. Why can't I enjoy a little sake without this crap? Stop knocking, I said. The Sannin was barely awake, and his head was pounding as if someone was trying to cleave it apart with a giant axe. Oi, Ero Sennin. Get your lazy ass out of there. Naruto. Jiraiya groaned as the voice seemed to tear right through his skull. Damn it, let me sleep a few hours, you brat. Ugh, my stomach. He grumbled, as his body started to revolt even more. Seems like he doesn't want to open the door, Naruto whispered to Hinata. She looked a bit distraught, but he just grinned. Too bad for him, no, I have to play dirty. Oroku no Jutsu. Whatever had happened, Naruto had brought along their guide. Though Hanata was still blushing furiously for some reason she would tell, and Jiraiya grumbled something about deception and theft. Serves you right, lazy pervert, Naruto responded. HMMPF, no student should deceive his master in such a cruel way. Almost thought I was dreaming, and next thing I know you took away my money and ran. Foul play. Naruto smirked at the older man. You were the one who taught me to exploit the opponent's weaknesses, so I used them against you, you money-grubbing perverted sage. Damn it, show some respect, brat. Jiraiya shouted in fake anger, charging after the boy. Not that he was truly angry, he seemed to be too immature for something like that. Kurenai facepalmed. Kiba looked completely confused, and Hinata's blown fuses were still recovering from the previous shock. Seeing a naked female version of Naruto charge into the old man's room was a sight she could not get out of her head. That the famous Toad Sage, one of the legendary three, was tricked like this. Contrary to the turbulent start of their mission, Jiraiya had a surprisingly serious side to him as well, Kurenai noticed. Mostly because he had personal knowledge of where they were going, considering how he had been the one who failed to go past the barrier. Knowing this, she decided to ask him for more details on this mission. Hokage-sama told us when those ruins were found, you could not go beyond the inner barriers, Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya frowned a bit. Yeah, I may be considered an expert on seals and barriers, but whatever they did in that temple was beyond my knowledge. Not surprising either, considering the reputation of the Uzumaki clan. But if you could not enter, how is Naruto supposed to do it? Kiba asks. How should I explain this? Jiraiya pondered. First thing to consider would be the difference there is between skill that is innate to a person, and skill that is trained. For example, your sensei is considered to be one of the best in Konoha with regard to genjutsu, but will probably lose to an Uchiha who has access to the higher levels of the Sharingan, even if the said Uchiha would have little training in genjutsu. It is talent that is dependent on the blood, inborn. So the Uzumaki clan has an inborn talent for Fuinjutsu. Hanata asks. Probably, yes. I mean, I gave Naruto a few cabinets filled with theory on Fuinjutsu, and within a few years he could master several of the more advanced seals. Taking into account the difficulty of Fuinjutsu itself, added with the mostly incomprehensible way these texts were written, I say that the brat has some kind of inborn talent to it. Kiba frowned. Few people seem to use Fuinjutsu, why is it so difficult? You want a lecture on Fuinjutsu? Jiraiya, happy to talk about his field, became more enthusiastic. Sure, his perverted antics were his favorite hobby, but Fuinjutsu was his job. Naruto saw Kiba's mistake and tried to prevent him from continuing before the Sannin would start a long, and to them probably useless, explanation. But he was already too late. Well, for starters, the user must possess large amounts of chakra, and a high level of controlling the chakra. In effect, that usually means that seals are created by several people who work together on one seal. But when multiple people work on one seal, it is a given that they all have differing types of chakra, and varying levels of control, which makes the creation, activation, and/or usage of a seal exponentially more difficult. Now Jiraiya had become serious, the others listened attentively. Though, Naruto already knew that they would have a hard time follow him. Even their sensei, he expected, because the Uzumaki style of Fuinjutsu was quite different from the basic thing they were taught in Konoha. Of course, this difficulty is bypassed by, for instance, the Uzumaki, or awesomely strong people like me, he grinned. Forget the skills, we've got the chakra to pay the bills. Though, jokes aside, even those who meet those high requirements must learn the complex language in which seals are written. Sure, it is possible to replicate seals with limited understanding, but the duration and strength suffer much from the lack of details, or the minor mistakes. It is a bit similar to the 12-hand seals, though the written version has more signs, so is exponentially more difficult as well. And then I'm not even talking about the importance of the sequence of signs, and the way you have drawn the connections between them. These are all factors which make recreating seals very difficult, and creating new ones even more difficult. And don't even begin to think about the difficulty of removing seals. And there are no real shortcuts either. Even for those with dojutsu like the Sharingan, it is pretty much impossible to see through Fuinjutsu. I don't get it. If it is that difficult, why use it? Hiba frowned, not having understood half of Jiraiya's mini-lecture. Simple. Ordinary ninjutsu usually have a limited duration, while Fuinjutsu, if executed properly, is barely affected by time. That is why those barriers at the temple are still active. Creating seals may require a lot of knowledge and skill, as well as some time to activate the seal, but there is no cost at keeping the seal up. Once you create a seal, for instance at a tag, a scroll, or simply on the ground you stand upon, it will last nearly forever, waiting for you to active or disable it depending on which type of seal it is. This makes Fuinjutsu particularly great for setting up traps before a fight starts, or for defending a certain position using barrier, etc. It is just like how I can activate the sentry seals which last all night, even if I sleep in the meantime. It all depends on the seal's design, Naruto explained, seeing his teammates' confusion. It takes more chakra to activate, compared to normal ninjutsu, but unlike regular ninjutsu, Fuinjutsu has no upkeep cost. I can sleep, fight, even fall unconscious or die, but the seal will remain active unless told otherwise. But with all the complexity of seals, there are also a lot of conditions you can embed in them. In that regard, I suppose there are special conditions placed on that temple's barrier. I suspect they added a few loopholes, Jiraiya agreed. And seeing how it seemed to be a sacred place to the Uzumaki, I highly doubt they would create such a powerful seal without including some kind of safety measures to keep the inner temple accessible to their own kin. Jisen said something about my chakra. Could be an option, because for all I know, you are the last surviving Uzumaki. I suppose that would make you the unofficial head of your clan, just like that Uchiha brat. Naruto smirked. I like that. I would love to see the looks at people's faces if they had to call me Uzumaki-sama, or Naruto-sama. Hiba snorted. Right. No way I'm ever doing that, he said, before laughing along. In the evening, Jiraiya took Naruto apart for a moment. So, how did this transfer to another team thing work out for you? The old man told me a bit about it, but I had not expected you to be this happy about it. I wasn't happy at first, Naruto admitted. I suppose I felt just like when I was thrown out of the orphanage back when I was a kid, thinking that it was my fault. Hell, I even considered leaving Konoha for a moment, thinking that I could find a better life somewhere else, a statement which earned him a sharp look from Jiraiya, but I was stopped before I could do so. Well, it would have been pointless anyway. As long as I am this weak, there is no way for me to escape. You planned to leave Konoha. And you were stopped. Sarutobi-sensei didn't tell me anything about this, he doesn't know. Hanata followed me, and more or less ordered me to stay, Naruto said a little embarrassed, scratching the back of his head. Aha, so that was the source of your girl problems earlier. Jiraiya acts, almost, but obviously not, innocently. And the Hyuga heir, of all people, he added, not managing to contain his chuckling any longer. Not bad at all. I am so proud, he faked crying from happiness. I told you already, it is not like that, Naruto grumbled. And I guess you shouldn't tease her either, unless you want to carry her. She usually faints when embarrassed, he added upon seeing Jiraiya's questioning look. That makes things quite difficult too. So I take it that you two did not yet. OWW. He started lecherously, before getting hit by Naruto. It doesn't matter. Naruto smiled faintly at the man's antics. Besides, someone like me has enough trouble as it is. She doesn't need to know that, right? She already knows who I am, and my most likely fate. Jiraiya paled a little, and then grimaced angrily. How did she learn of this? Did Hiashi tell her? Because if he did, nobody betrayed the Hokage's law. Naruto interrupted him. I was the one who told her. Jiraiya was still stunned when they walked back to the others. He knew full well how serious Naruto was about the fact that he carried the Kyuubi within him. In fact, to his knowledge, Naruto had never told anyone about his burden, unless the other started talking about it first. And even then, he remained extremely reluctant to speak about it. Sarutobi-sensei said something about how Naruto thought she had saved him from the orphanages. It might be that he truly trusts her more than any other. Though, I wonder if she realizes the significance of his confession. Damn it, I got to figure out a way to talk to that girl about this, if she had turned him down. The signs of his struggle are becoming more and more obvious, so how would he have responded to a possible rejection? Jiraiya felt a chill at the thought he might have to face his pupil one day, if the latter would fall. So far, I failed all my students, Minato, as well as Yahiko and the others, they all died. But I would rather die than fail this kid. I owe Minato that much. So, how's the balloon exercise going? I saw you play with the rubber ball back in Konoha, so I take it you figured out the first step. He tried to hide his worry by continuing a normal conversation. Naruto looked up. Yeah, the water balloon is easy now, though I would not have figured it out without Hinata. Seriously, I guess the Dujutsu is quite a tool to cheat your way through training. The old man smiled at the blushing girl. I only gave some tips, Jiraiya-sama, she squeaked. Drop the honorifics, kid, Jiraiya ordered, they only make me feel old. I am old enough as it is, compared to a bunch of brats like you. Hiba frowned a bit. You're certainly quite different from the stories I heard Mum tell about you. Though I did hear quite a bit about your writing skills, Sis made a habit of kicking every man in our clan who has those books with him. Mum never explains why though. And she shouldn't, Kurenai added sharply. Looking at her eyes, Jiraiya sighed in resignation. There was no hope of defending his literary arts in this company. Not that kids of their age should read it, anyway. So this is it? Naruto asked with a cynical tone. On their 6th day of traveling, the group had finally arrived. Not that Team 8 would have spotted it. The woods had claimed the ground which once had been a temple, with only several large rocks and one ruined part of wall left as silent witnesses of the former complex. Even the word ruin was almost too much to describe this former temple. From his previous explanation, Jiraiya had given Naruto the impression that the temple had been quite a substantial building. But seeing the real thing was, as with most things, rather disappointing. Especially to the young genin, who had dreamed to see something of his nearly extinct clan. Yes, if we get past those 2 rocks over there, Jiraiya pointed. Then we are near the entrance to the lower levels of the temple. I suggest setting up camp and gathering supplies first. I'll take Naruto and little Miss Hyuga over there with me to check the entrance. The old man glanced at Kurenai. If the barriers I left previously are not intact, we might have to set out watches. They knew that if anyone was trying to get in, they would be keeping an eye on the temple, and might attempt to attack any other person who tried to get it. Well, if they were stupid enough to not recognize Jiraiya. Kurenai nodded, and together with Kiba and a dozen of Naruto's, she started setting up camp. Luckily, the seals and barriers were all intact. Apparently no one had even entered the ruin past the first barrier which warded against wild animals. Despite having set out sentry seals, the group took turns in keeping watch, as the others slept. The group had deliberately been moving at a slow pace, while traveling towards the temple these last few days, as Jiraiya had wanted to teach Naruto a few more things on how to temporarily undo or completely remove Fuinjutsu cast by others. This meant that, even though they had traveled at high speed for a few hours each day, the remainder of that day would be spent at training. And now that they had set up camp, Jiraiya and Naruto spent most of their days on Fuinjutsu training. Not that the others had gotten bored. Jiraiya had given Kurenai instructions on how to train Kiba, whose nose might have the ability to trace the lingering chakra left by the Fuinjutsu, and Hinata, whose eyes had a chance to detect the seals and barriers, as well as possible weaknesses in them. Despite his goofy act on their departure, Kurenai was impressed by the level of preparation Jiraiya had made for this mission. The scrolls he gave Kiba and Hanata explained most of the key concepts of Fuinjutsu in such a way that even they could understand, while they only possessed the rudimentary knowledge on Fuinjutsu provided by the academy. But Kurenai was not really sure what to think when they finally entered the ruins. Jiraiya had removed the seals he had left previously, and they walked on for some time in a dark tunnel, deeper and deeper into the earth, while he took down the barriers he knew from last time one by one. How old is this place? Kiba asks in amazement. I'm afraid I do not know, Jiraiya admitted. I have yet to find even a single reference to this temple. None of the scrolls or books from the Uzumaki clan mention this place, as far as I know. To the best of my knowledge, the Uzumaki only had 2 shrines, and this one was never documented. We're getting close to the next barrier. Next turn left, and then my vision is blocked, Hanata reported. She walked in front of the group, her Byakugan activated with regular intervals, while the other carried the torches. Akamaru barked a few times, softly. Kiba nodded. That's the barrier all right, though I can't smell any dangerous chakra at all. No, I disarmed most of the traps last time, Jiraiya mumbled. Though, that darn barrier never budged an inch. Walking towards the barrier, they saw what looked like a large window made of dark-colored glass, though there was no reflection. The walls of the tunnel had widened a bit, and instead of the past lack of decoration, the walls here were embellished with several large human figures. All of the figures on their side 2 of the barrier seemed to be suffering, while those they could see on the other side seemed to be viciously defending. It looked rather disturbing, even though the artwork was top-notch. This is amazing, Kurenai said as an astonished voice. Such a barrier. I've never seen something like it. It's completely flawless. I can't see any opening, nor anything that might be used as an anchor to keep the barrier up, Hinata agreed with a voice which reflected her sense of helplessness. Perhaps there is something on the other side, but I can't see through the barrier. There is just nothing. Again, Hinata felt disappointed. She was useless. What would her father say if he saw her now? A true heir to the Hyuga clan would have been able to achieve something. Don't worry, I did not expect you to, Hinata, Jiraiya assured her, having seen her loss of confidence. Last time I was here, I took one of the Hyuga clan with me as well, your uncle Hazashi. He saw just as much as you do now. The girl spurred her eyes wide open, knowing full well that, even compared to her father, Hazashi did not lag behind in skill. So how are we going to get past this thing? Kiba asked while cautiously touching the barrier. When nothing happened, Akamaru walked towards it as well to touch and smell the barrier. I'll try, Naruto spoke, looking at Jiraiya. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, but if your theory is correct, at least something should happen, right? He walked toward the barrier. What the? Kiba exclaimed. Naruto put out his arm to touch the seemingly solid glass wall, but nothing changed. Except that Naruto's arm had just passed the barrier. So the barrier does not reject you, but does not change either, Jiraiya remarked after examining the barrier. Though Naruto's right arm had moved through, the barrier remained completely solid to the others. This barrier truly is a remarkable piece of work, showing the true skill of your clan, kiddo. It feels kinda strange though, Naruto frowned. Almost as if I had to generate chakra in order to get through it. Jiraiya sighed, and looked at Kurenai, who nodded. Okay Naruto. It seems like you can get past this barrier, so you should be able to look at the other side and figure out a way to get the barrier down. But listen very carefully. Do not take any risk. We will talk you through it, but we can't help you if you get in trouble while this barrier is still up. "K," Naruto said, before walking through. He touched his stomach. Well, that felt weird. Okay, can you guys hear me? The others confirmed, looking at the blonde boy as he started to thoroughly investigate the area. I can't see a damn thing in here. I'll walk down the corridors a bit further. If I see anything suspicious, I'll send it a clone first. Good luck, Jiraiya answered. And be careful. Kurenai frowned. When you removed the other barriers placed in the ruins, were they dangerous? No, not really. Most of them were designed to prevent animals or people from entering. The last barrier which I was able to take down was a little dangerous, as it repelled any jutsu used against it. That's why I told Naruto not to use any jutsu without first testing it with a clone. Still, the genin and their sensei were not completely reassured, seeing the frown on the Toad Sage's face. Please be all right, Naruto-kun, Hinata prayed. After he had left the room with the glass wall, Naruto had walked a few hundred meters before the corridor ended. Just before reaching that end, Naruto spotted a hole in the floor. Sending out a Kage Bunshin, he figured out the pitch-black hole was not deep. Though, when the memories of the clone returned to him, Naruto began to wonder why there was a glow of light in the distance. Jumping down, Naruto walked towards the light. Cautiously, he made a few clones, letting them check the area for traps. The boy frowned. There was a bright barrier in another open room which the clones could not get near to. It drained the clone until it dissolved. Perhaps this is another one of those jutsu wards that the super pervert talked about earlier. Darn. I couldn't remove that previous barrier, but I could pass it without being hurt. What should I do? Return empty-handed, or should I take a risk? Well, I might as well take the risk. It's my clan after all. If anyone is allowed to pass that thing, it's me. What the? Naruto wondered, as he could touch the barrier without any consequence. But unlike the previous barrier that gave him a slightly unpleasant sensation, this new barrier felt nice and warm, almost reassuring. And strangely familiar. Unable to find any way to bring the barrier down, Naruto decided that the barrier wasn't meant to hurt. The wisest thing to do would probably be get my ass back to the others, he pondered. But there doesn't seem any risk. Perhaps it is just like that glass thing, and I can just step through it. Perhaps the way to take the other barrier down is behind this one. Naruto shrugged, and entered after his curiosity won over his caution. This was his legacy, after all. What could go wrong? That's it for this part. If you enjoyed it, then like, share and subscribe for the next video, as it's going to be more interesting, and also check out my other playlists. Hope you would like them too.